The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, make sure you guys hit the like button. Definitely take the time to subscribe, whether you're watching live or watching on the playback. Man, oh man, it's been such a long day for your boy BT. For those of you who haven't seen already, I was at the Mayweather boxing gym today. I did interview Gervonta Tank Davis. That was great because, man, I've gone to that Mayweather gym a couple times in my life, and both times I went, I didn't really do that well content-wise because mentally I had a mental block going in. But today was great. I mean, today I feel like a mental giant. I went in there and I absolutely bossed the media scrum. And it was just overall was good. Boxing's in a beautiful place right now because starting this week, we're gonna have about a three-week run of seeing some big names, some of the premier names in the lightweight division, get in the ring. We're gonna see Teofimo Lopez this weekend. The weekend after that, we're gonna see Devin Haney against Jojo Diaz, and then the day after Devin Haney, Jojo Diaz, we're gonna get Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz. So look, it's good for the division. It's good for the sport. It's good for boxing, and yeah, overall everything's just good. And tomorrow is the Devin Haney. Tomorrow's the Devin Haney media workout, and I'm supposed to be going to that as well. So make sure y'all stay tuned here on True School Sports. I'm gonna continue to put out that heat, that world class boxing content, and that's just what it's gonna be. You feel me? So with that being said, I wanted to first take some time before I get into my live to really give you guys a program reminder. This weekend I'll be back in South Florida, and I will be live for Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos. And there will be a live fight reaction for that. It will be the return of Pop, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And then I'll probably find myself here in Vegas again, not too long after that, going to the Devin Haney fight. So just a busy week. Had a busy November. Gonna have an even busier December for you guys. A lot of great content coming for you guys in December. So hopefully you guys continue to rock with your boy and just stick with me because there's great things on the horizon. But listen, I don't want to dilly-dally around the topic of what this live is about because I don't really have the most time in the world. So while I'm here, I'm not here for a long time, but I'm damn sure here for a good time. So y'all let me know what y'all think. But my man, you don't know, says Lopez is going to smoke this dude up. And now listen, I'm very excited about this fight. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm very excited that we're going to get a chance to watch Teofimo Lopez in the ring. And I'm very excited that he's fighting an opponent that's hungry. I'm talking about hungry. George Kambosos is a hungry fighter. Like one thing you must understand about George Kambosos, I know people are going to discredit him and say, well, he got 2 split decision victories, but he got them on the road. And the Lee Selby fight shouldn't have been a split decision. But that's besides the point. When you talk about George Kambosos, and I've been hearing like he trains in my area in South Florida. We've never had a chance to cross paths, but I've heard a lot of things about George Kambosos, and I've heard from everybody, even way before this Lopez fight got signed, that this is a guy that with incredible self-belief. This is a guy that is like an alpha male. This is a guy that has extreme dedication to the sport, and I think it's been tested with this buildup, with the fight being canceled, being pushed back, then being scheduled, then being pushed back, then being scheduled again. How could a fighter's dedication not be questioned if so many times there's roadblocks towards a fight? A lot of ups and downs. So with that being said, George Kambosos is a guy that if you've done any homework on him, this is a guy that came from Australia. He had like 9 or 10 fights at the Australian class level. He took all of his money. All right. He came here to the States. All the money he had, he took it, came to the States, paid out of pocket, went to the wild card gym and sparred the biggest and baddest dudes he could find, from guys like Jose Ramirez to, most notably Manny Pacquiao. And he sparred hundreds of rounds with Manny Pacquiao. So when you put in that kind of pain, when you put in that kind of work with Manny Pacquiao, of course, this is going to make you a lot more confident. You feel me? So, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do, because he's talked a good game. He gets you fired up about life every time I hear his interview. So I'm hoping he comes and brings the fight, because there are some things stylistically that I think could be to his detriment, and we'll definitely get into that more as the live progresses. Shout out to my guy Ricardo Salas. He says Teofimo Lopez round 6 knockout. Yeah, I mean, I think that's very possible. Absolutely. Christopher Hernandez, what's up, bro? What's good, Chris? How you living, man? Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Yoasis Guardian, my man. Kingdom Cuts Barbershop. Kendall's very own. How you doing? He says, do you think Teo can beat Tank? Of course. Of course Teo can beat Tank. I know today I put the interview out on the channel. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out. I was interviewing Tank, and me and him were talking, and I asked him about the infamous sparring session back in the day when Gervonta Davis came to South Florida and sparred Teofimo Lopez at the now defunct Club KO boxing gym. In that video, if you watch the sparring session, you know, you see Teofimo was very skinny. His frame wasn't mature. He was a kid. And that's what Tank said. Tank said, I was playing with him. He's a kid. This, that, and the third. And, you know, he pretty much said that, look, he beat Lomachenko, and now he's getting too big for his bridges. So hopefully that fight can happen. I think Teo will beat him. And Teofimo versus Tank will be fire. But yeah, all those fights be good, but we can't get those fights. We can't get those fights if we don't focus on this week. So I wanted to talk about this week. I wanted to talk about what took place at today's media workout between Kambosos and Lopez, because, you know, today, you know, Teofimo Lopez Sr., he went up in there, and look, I love Teo Sr. He's a viewer of the channel. He's a friend of the program. I love Teo Sr., but, you know, he went up in there with his chest out. He's like, you're getting knocked out, bro. My son's gonna knock you out, bro. You know, he went crazy. And then he got up in the face of Jim Camposos, who's the father of George Camposos, and then all hell broke loose. And it just added more drama. It added more fuel. It added just a lot of things with this fight. And I'm excited for it. You know, I think this, listen, before today, I thought this fight was going to be a war, because there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers to this fight. First and foremost, you guys must understand that this fight was, as many of you may remember, was supposed to be on Triller. And then Triller was pouring a lot of money into the boxing game. And then they hired Peter Khan. They hired Peter Khan, who is George Camposos' manager, as their director of boxing. And then that didn't work out. And then apparently there's some bad blood between some stuff behind the scenes that happened with them. So now Teofimo's holding resentment towards Peter Khan and Camposos' whole team, and, you know, it's just a lot of things. It's a whole lot of things. And I really believe, truthfully, in my heart of hearts, I feel like the boxing world, the boxing fans are in for a treat this weekend, because you got two undefeated fighters. You got one guy who's proven himself at that world-class elite level, and then another guy who's proven himself at that mandatory level, and now he's going to get a chance to prove his worth at that world-class elite, the creme de la creme level. I see this fight being a fight where it's a war. I mean, an absolute war. I'm talking about, because you got to look at it like style-wise, right? Teofimo Lopez can do a little bit of everything. He can box a little bit. He can slug. He can move. He can do a lot of things. George Camposos is a guy that, if you've watched his career and you just watch his posture in the ring, he's very front foot dominant. Loves to come forward. Loves to exchange. Loves to just be right in your face. Can counterpunch a little bit too, but at his core, he is a Spartan warrior, so he likes to be in your face. Yoasis wants to know, what's my prediction? Great question. I think this fight, I think no matter who wins this fight is not going to see the 8th round. This fight will end within 7 rounds. I'm going with Teofimo Lopez to win this fight by stoppage within 7 rounds, because I just think George, he's too front foot dominant, and when he goes and loads up on shots, I feel like he leaves himself very exposed. And I think this is a fight, not only where we're going to see the boxing skills of Teofimo Lopez, but also we're going to see just everything, the whole package. And, you know, funny enough, right, with Teo, he's been out the ring for a year. And a lot of people have forgotten, you know, this world we live in, it's a world of instant gratification. It's a world where people forget things. It's a world where people... It's more of a what have you done for me lately type of world we live in now. And even though Teofimo Lopez did the unthinkable, even though Teofimo Lopez did what people didn't expect him to do and beat Lomachenko. It's almost like people forgot that he did that. It's almost like people forgot that he beat Nakatani, that he knocked out Richard Comey. And now people are talking about Teofimo Lopez as if he hasn't accomplished anything in the sport of boxing. So my question to Teo, and my question to the chat, and my question to anybody watching this live is, will Teofimo Lopez show his greatness again this week? Because I feel like he needs to. I feel like he needs to. He can't afford to get hurt. He can't afford to. He damn sure can't afford to lose, because a lot of people are preying on his downfall, hoping he flops, hoping that he gets exposed as a hype job. So, you know, he has to really remind people of why people like myself and people around the world gas him up so much, because he earned it. He's not, this ain't, listen, all respect to Tank Davis, all respect to Ryan Garcia, all respect to Devin Haney. They're all talented fighters, but he ain't them guys. The hype he got was warranted because of what he actually did in the ring. It's not because it's not because Lil Baby mentioned him in a rap lyric. It's not because, you know, he can do this really fast on Instagram. It's not because any of that nonsense. It's not because he has a lot of money or nothing like that, like Devin Haney. It's because of what he did in that boxing ring and beating one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, if not the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport at the time he fought him, in Vasily Lomachenko. So if you're over here talking that Teofimo Lopez is a hype job nonsense, you are everything that's wrong with this toxic culture of boxing fans, straight up and down. My bad, guys. Y'all got me fired up. I'm surprised. Listen, I'm surprised I got this much energy. It's been a long day, and tomorrow I'm going to the Devin Haney media workout. So gonna be another long day tomorrow. Hopefully, you guys check out that content along with the content we got from today. But Yoasa says, you know your boxing. Thank you, man. Shout out to everybody here. Make sure y'all smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. Definitely take the time to super chat, all that good stuff. Well, yeah, a year away from the ring, he needs to reinstate his grade. I absolutely agree. I don't think this is a fight where he could afford to have a lackluster performance, because he's fighting a guy in George Kambosos who he's fully expected to defeat. He's fully expected to not just beat, but beat soundly. And the way he's been talking and the way Kambosos has been talking, he needs to beat him soundly. But I love this fight. I'm going to tell you guys another reason why I love this fight. All right. I'm gonna tell you guys another reason why I love this fight. Now, y'all know where I'm from. I'm from the town. I'm from South Florida, right? And these are two fighters that were built, molded, sculpted, shaped, and refined in gyms all across South Florida. You know, Teofimo Lopez. You know, for those of you who don't know, he pretty much spent his whole childhood and his whole amateur career in the South Florida area, and very small parts of his pro career training in the South Florida area. He's a proud alumni of the Davy Powell. So, you know, the foundations that were put in place for his skills were built in South Florida boxing gyms. And then with George Kambosos, right, we know the story about how he flew from Australia to LA, and he went to Wild Card Gym and he sparred Pacquiao, all that. But after he did that, he eventually started training under Javier Centeno at Sweatbox Gym in Davie, Florida. And he's been there for like his last 4 or 5 camps, sparring everywhere in South Florida, from there to Contender's Gym. So these are two fighters that have been built in South Florida gyms, and these are two guys that have really made their name inside. And listen, anybody who spars in the Tri-County area of South Florida, you can't be soft if you built in a gym, in one of these South Florida gyms. There's too many good fighters coming in and out. You're gonna get good work no matter what. Shout out to my guy Wacky Movie Clips. He says, keep up the great interviews in the trenches, BT. Shout out to you, Wacky Movie Clips, for the super chat, and my man John, thank you for the support on the channel. Listen, man. 2022, I declare it in the name of Jesus, man. I'm telling y'all, 2022 is going to be my year here on YouTube, man. I've learned this year what it means to be a professional. God surrounded me with some great people. He's blessing me in ways beyond human comprehension. And December is going to be an even crazier month of this month, and it's going to lead into what's going to be a greater 2022. And you guys are going to get just amazing content. So I really hope, for those of you that are rocking with me, that you continue to rock with me, because beautiful things are ahead. And today, you know, I was happy because I'm gonna tell y'all this, and then I'll get back to Teo and Camposos. Last week, right, the Porter Crawford weigh-in was last week, right? And I actually went to it, but I wasn't there very long because I had a mental breakdown. I've never had a mental breakdown, but I had one last week, and it's never happened to me before. I don't know why it happened or how it happened, but it happened. And then I had to leave the Mandalay Bay. And then so I was feeling down about that, but then today it was like a good reassurance because you go into the Mayweather gym where I have mental blocks a lot, and I went in there. You had Fight Hype, Ellie Seckback, Champ Side, boxing scene, all kinds of big media people. But the person that delivered the best moments in that media scrum today was your boy BT. So big confidence booster, big confidence booster for me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank you, John, for the super chat. David says, great content today, bro. Thank you, David. I hope tomorrow you check out some of the content. There's still like 2 more things that are going to drop from today tomorrow. So look out for that. And then we're going to the Devin Haney media workout tomorrow as well. So it's gonna get real hot and heavy here on True School Sports. BT, the tall enough to take your bitch comment killed me with that shit. Yeah, man. Hey, people always ask me, BT, how tall are you? And that's my answer. Tall enough to take your female if you're not careful. You know what I'm saying? So don't ask stupid questions. You won't get stupid answers. Exactly. Great point, dog. Teo deserves better publicity, but it's been growing. It's been growing. And look, it takes time. You can be a great fighter. You can be, all these things in the ring. But, as time and as boxing history has shown us many times before, it takes so much to be a star in boxing. There's so many fighters. There's so many entertainment options here in America. You have to really be somebody, not just in the ring, but outside that ring. So I believe Teofimo Lopez in time will develop into a superstar, but he's got to beat George Kambosos. He can't be losing to the George Kambosos of the world. You know what I'm saying? So looking forward to the fight. I'm going to say this too about George, right? Today, Teo Sr. went in there today. He caused a big ruckus, and I like the energy that Team Camposos had. I like the energy that George's dad had. I like the energy that just the whole team had because it was kind of like a declaration of war. And I'm hoping for the best George Kambosos possible because I want to see great fights. I like the underdog. I like the fighters that wasn't supposed to be nothing because George Kambosos, as he's told you many times, he says, I feel like this is owed to me. I come from the local show, from down under, all that stuff. And this is a guy that's put himself through the fire. He went to the wild card gym. He sparred hundreds of rounds with Manny Pacquiao. He's been sparring with Xander Zayas. He's been sparring with Emmanuel Tego. He's been sparring with top guys, the best guys he could find out there. And it's going this is he's not one of these pretend Instagram fighters that we have in boxing. He's one of these guys that comes to give you a fight and to knock your block off. And I really feel like win, lose, or draw, we are going to see the best George Kambosos. That's just my opinion. Jesus M, shout out to him. He says, ask Haney tough questions. We're going to do the same thing with Haney that we did to Tank today. We're going to ask great questions. We're going to ask him questions that you guys want to hear, and we're going to deliver the kind of interviews that we've been delivering every year since 2015 that have kept people coming back year after year after year. So absolutely. Bill Haney is going to kick BT at the gym. He gonna say, hey man, tell the truth. Tell the truth about Devin Haney. You need to tell the truth about Devin Haney on your platform. Devin Haney got the most money. He got the most bitches. He the truth. Tell the truth, man. But yeah, listen, it's all jokes aside, we are in a beautiful space and time as boxing fans. And I want all 29 people here to really take the time to appreciate this stretch of boxing we're about to witness. Obviously, you got Figueroa Fulton this weekend, which is a great fight. I'm not going to go live for it. I'll be live for Teo versus Cambosos, and I'll catch up with that fight later because I want to see Teofimo back in the ring, right? And we're in a great stretch. You got Teo at 135 because 135 is a division where nothing happens. Like this guy talks, that guy talks. It's like the school playground at recess, So we're gonna see Teo, who's in some people's opinion, the undisputed champion. I think he's the undisputed champion. That's just my opinion. I think he's the undisputed champion. Some people don't. He's fighting Saturday. Then you got Devin next, Saturday, right? Next Saturday is Devin. I'll be back in Vegas for that. And then Sunday is going to be Tank versus Isaac Cruz. So you're talking about 3 of the premier lightweights in the world all in action in the span of 10 days. I mean, what more could you ask for as a boxing fan? And it'll give us a chance to measure, the guys' performances. We'll get a chance to measure Teo versus Kambosos versus Devin versus Jojo versus Tank versus Isaac Cruz. These are all 3 fights for 3 premier fighters that they're all favored to win. Who's going to look the best? Who's going to outshine? Who's going to show their class in the division? Will any of them lose? Will any of them get exposed? I mean, boxing's always fun because just when you think somebody is unbeatable or that the division is set a certain way, there's always somebody around that corner, a young, hungry contender from Australia or a young, hungry contender from Mexico or a young, hungry contender from Los Angeles that's willing to take your spot. So it's a beautiful time, you know, this last half of the year. Then we got the fights in Japan. Funk Rage, shout out to me, says, sorry to hear about the breakdown. I enjoyed all your questions and interviews today. You're definitely outshining. Yeah, man, I'm doing my thing. I'm just trying to do the best with what God gave me, and hopefully that's enough for people who want to keep coming back. But yeah, no, I'm gonna tell you this. I've never really been a big person when it comes to like mental health or whatnot, like and whatnot. I always thought it was kind of like BS. And listen, I'm not saying that if you have, I'm not saying that men should use mental health as a crutch. I feel like men should be as strong as possible. But sometimes, man, life can beat your ass, and sometimes things just do happen. So, you know, hey, we had a breakdown. But honestly, having a mental breakdown for me was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it made me tell myself, BT, you got to slow down. And that's what I did today. And when things slowed down, you know, I was the best person in the media scrum, so I was happy about that. Is Crawford signing up Mayweather Promotions? I have not the slightest clue. I do know that he hinted at it in the interview. We'll see what happens. Crawford's a free agent. I just hope Crawford does what's best for him to get the Errol Spence fight. Whatever that is, if it's with Mayweather, go Mayweather. If it's with going with Al, go with Al. Just do what you got to do to get that fight. Shout out to John again, Wacky Movie Clips with the $9.99 super chat. He says, mental health awareness is a serious thing, my bro. I've had my own battles in the past. Just keep your head up, BT. Stay positive and keep doing the fantastic work you've been doing covering the sport of boxing. Absolutely, man. Listen, man. It's a spiritual war out here, you know. The enemy of our souls is trying to make sure that we're miserable, depressed, and hopeless, and he'll use anything against you, you know. So. Like I said, I had a minor setback, but man, oh man, it was great because I really feel like it's helped me in a major way. You know, I don't like when I fail in life, it never goes in vain. So, yeah, definitely a big thing, and hopefully everybody out there takes care of themselves. Hopefully everybody out there takes care of their well-being because you know, life is hard, and we're all striving to make the best of what we have here on earth. You know what I'm saying? So. Hopefully you guys are doing that. But thank you again, John. Devin Haney beats JoJo on points and outboxes him all 12 rounds. Yeah, listen, I've been hearing a lot of things here in Vegas. I'm not going to say no names, but I've been hearing a lot of things in Vegas from multiple people that Devin Haney's been looking great in camp, that Devin Haney is going to be something special for this fight. They're saying that Devin Haney's been in camp with more of a hunger, you know, with more of a sharpness to him. So that's very good news for us as boxing fans because I really believe that the one reason why I've always questioned Devin Haney, and this is just keeping it 100. Devin Haney is a rich kid who grew up in the boxing gym. Yes, he's very talented. Yes, but everybody's been telling him and massaging his ego for the longest time, talking about he's great, he's the next Mayweather. So I've always questioned, where is that hunger gonna come from? Where is that dog gonna come from? And they're saying he's got that dog in him. So he's got an opponent in front of him in JoJo who's going to come forward and bring the fight to him. I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, I didn't plan on coming back to Vegas for his fight, but I've been talked into it. I'm gonna be back here. I'm gonna go home on the Friday. I'll be at home. I'll be home for like 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days, and then I'm gonna come right back to Vegas for his fight. And then that's gonna start a crazy December here on True School Sports, where we're gonna be in Vegas, Mexico, Texas, and then we're going back home. So it's gonna be absolutely insane. How do you grade the Teo and Fulton cards? Well, I haven't really paid much attention to the Teo card. I know you got Kenichio Gawa's on the undercard, I believe. It's the Teo card. The Teo undercard is like I would say from what I remember, it's like a C. The Fulton card, I know Rais Salim's on the undercard today of that card, and Rais Salim's one of the top 122 pounders out there. And actually, it was crazy. Today I was at the gym. And Rais Salim's coach, I think his name was like Brian or Bryce or something like that. Really great guy. I never met him, never heard of him, but he came right up to me and he said, "Are you True School Sports?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm True School Sports." He's like, "Oh, I'm Rais Salim's coach," and we shook hands and exchanged information. Great guy. But I would say probably the Fulton card is slightly better, but I'm gonna check it just while we're here. I don't want to make any assumptions, but I know Rais Salim's on the card, and Rais Salim, in my opinion, is a better fighter than everybody that I know on the Teofimo Kambosos on the card. But let me just take a quick look at it so I could properly answer your question, Jesus, because you ask good questions. You're always here, so you deserve that respect. Oh my God, yeah, it's a much better card. You got Gary Antonio Russell. You got the return of Aaron Alameda, fresh off his loss to Angelo Leo. He's on the card. Rais Salim. Yeah, it's a better card. I would say the Fulton Figueroa card is a B. The Teofimo Kambosos card is a C. But I would say that the Teofimo Lopez main event is the main event I'm more excited for, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Kamik he says, credit to you, BT. It takes courage to talk about your emotions, shows your character, and I respect the hell out of that. Salute. Yeah, man, look, it's not about being a bitch. It's not about being soft. These things really happen to me, and I know people out here are going through things even if they don't say anything. So if I could use my platform and be courageous and give value to somebody, then we're gonna do that, you know. Trust me, I ain't no bitch. Anybody who knows me in real life knows I ain't no bitch. Chance Dodson says, BT the traveling man, keep doing your thing, bro. Absolutely, I have to for you guys, for the viewers of this channel. I have to put my best foot forward because the boxing world is depending on True School Sports to be what he says he is, and that is something the boxing game's been missing. So we're gonna keep doing that. Former WBC champion Frank Bruno is bipolar and had serious mental health issues in retirement. Oliver McCall comes to mind too. Yeah, these guys all have issues. So hey, it is what it is. It's not about having issues; it's how you overcome them. But yeah, George Kambosos versus Teofimo Lopez, hell of a fight. One thing I like about this fight, and I wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit, is, you know, a lot of people look at Teofimo Lopez his frame, his size, how big he is, and they only know him for his knockouts. They only know him as a guy that puts people to sleep. But you got to remember, this is a guy in Teofimo Lopez that actually won the USA Olympic trials. Now, he didn't represent Team USA because USA Boxing and the committee of USA Boxing had pre-picked their representative in his weight class, which was Carlos Balderas, which is why he had to represent Honduras, right? But any man, any fighter that can win the USA trials in any weight class in the amateurs, that's someone that has technical boxing skills. That's someone who can box. So I like this fight because I really believe Teofimo Lopez will get the chance to show his technical boxing skills off, which he really, you know, I know he showed a little bit of it in the Lomachenko fight, but then Lomachenko started pressing forward and it became more of a fight as the fight wore on. I feel like in this fight, because of how Kambosos moves, because Kambosos is such a front foot dominant fighter, Teo will have a chance to show the boxing skills, the technical boxing skills. You know, he's an elite athlete and he's an elite boxer. But now I really feel like he's got the opponent to do it. So it's going to be really, really interesting. It's just a really, really interesting to see how Teo does in this fight. But man, shout out to everybody here. Make sure y'all take the time to subscribe. Shameless plug. If you haven't checked it out already, I would highly advise and implore everybody who has not seen it already to go on the channel and check out all my Gervonta Tank Davis content that I dropped. We got great stuff with Tank today. It was really, really good. But yeah, anyway, George Kambosos, let's get to him because this is a guy that's pretty much made his name really off of being a Manny Pacquiao sparring partner and beating Lee Selby and Mickey Bay on the road. Now, Mickey Bay, I talked to Mickey Bay a couple days ago when I was here in Vegas, and you know, Mickey Bay spoke to me and he told me that like when he fought George, it was a fight on short notice, and he feels like if he would have got a full time to prepare, he would have probably beat George Kambosos. But that's neither here nor there. Kambosos won the fight. Kambosos dropped him with a beautiful uppercut where he slipped inside. If you haven't seen the knockdown that Kambosos had in that fight, go back and watch it. He slipped inside and he threw an uppercut and dropped Mickey Bay. Beautiful stuff. So Kambosos can box. I really feel like people need to go watch his fights a little bit more. He's a guy that does have some skill. He's a guy that can counter punch. He's a guy that has some craft to him. He's not just even though he's front foot dominant, he does have dimensions while being a front foot dominant fighter, if that makes sense, you know? So it's going to be a good fight. My question is this, and Teofimo Lopez in the media workout actually talked about it a little bit. Teofimo said that George Kambosos is too little. He said that George Kambosos is really a 130-pounder trying to make 135 and be a lightweight and masquerading as a lightweight. And he pretty much said that when he punches George Kambosos, he's going to realize that he's not a 35-pounder. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, because I don't think, from the way George is talking, isn't talking. He's not talking like a fighter that's going to take a step back. Teo isn't talking like a fighter that's going to take a step back. So I'm expecting fireworks. You know, Wacky Movie Clip says, I feel like this has become somewhat of a trap fight for Teofimo with all the delays and nonsense. I really hope he shows up on fight night as the best version of himself. Cambosos is dangerous. And I agree. Because Camposos, like I said earlier, he's not one of these fighters that's like, his record's not extremely padded. He's been in there with some good veteran fighters, and on top of that, his experience in the gym is what I feel like is going to make this fight close than people think. You know, you don't spar hundreds of rounds of Manny Pacquiao and Jose Ramirez and Xander Zayas and all these world-class fighters and have talk the way he talks because you didn't put that time in the gym. You know, and everybody that I know, because I have friends. I've got one friend in Florida. I'm not gonna say his name, but I got one friend in Florida who's a professional fighter who sparred George Kambosos, and he told me what he's like in the ring. He told me what his mindset's like when the cameras are off. He told me how he carries himself, and it lines up with everything else everybody's told me. So, I think it's also a trap fight for Teo, because you gotta think about it, right? The first time this fight was supposed to happen was what, June? They scheduled this fight for June or whatever, maybe a little June 5th, I think was the initial date. Then they moved it to June 19th. And they had made this fight like in March or April. So this fight's been signed since like March or April of this year, and we're about to be in almost December. So we're talking about 8 months of thinking about George Kambosos. But then simultaneously, while you're thinking about George Kambosos, people are asking you about Devin Haney. They're asking you about Josh Taylor. They're asking you about Ryan Garcia. They're asking you about Gervonta Davis. Everybody but George Kambosos. So because Teo has been hearing this for 8 months, that could whether it be consciously or subconsciously, that could make Teofimo Lopez overlook George Kambosos and not, take the fight serious and give the fight the kind of respect that it deserves. And maybe he overlooks him, and maybe that's to his detriment. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's saying he's not overlooking George Kambosos, subconsciously he could, because it's only human nature. People have been asking about all these other fights that are not George Kambosos for the last 8 months, and they're still doing it during fight week. So it's part of the game, but that is something to look out for. Funk Rate says that I think Kambosos is going to end up like William Silva or Edis Tatley. And he'll end up like those two did, especially Silva, who was also front foot heavy. Yeah, man. And it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, because if you go back, Funk Rates, and I would encourage everybody to go watch this video so you know what I'm talking about. Matchroom Boxing just did a thing with Teofimo Lopez. It was 30-minute. It was a 30-minute video where they kind of followed him around for an entire day. And there's a part in there where Teo's hitting the bag, right? And his dad tells him to throw some sort of punch, and then he says, yeah, throw this punch because, this is what happened in the William Silva fight. And so it's funny you say that, because it looks like they're doing some of the same, whatever they did to prepare for William Silva. I feel like they're going that direction again, based on what he's telling them. You were recently in the gym with Teo and his father. How did he look, and how did his mental seem? Do you think he's all the way focused on this fight? Well, let me tell you this, man. I've seen fighters at all levels of boxing, all around America, from all over the world train. And I'm going to tell you this. When it comes to Teofimo Lopez, he's probably one of the only fighters in boxing where when you watch him train, it's almost as exciting, if not just as exciting, as watching him fight. He's that entertaining in the gym. He looked great. He always looks great in the gym. Teofimo never looks bad in the gym as far as, his training is concerned. I've heard things about sparring, but I've only seen him spar one time, and the one time I saw him spar, he looked amazing. I saw Teo spar in June when this fight was initially scheduled, and he looked sensational. Was it in late May, early June when I saw him? He looked sensational, and he looked pretty much the same in his training. Do I think he's all the way focused on this fight? Now, I'm not trying to bring up his personal business, but he brought it up in the video with Matchroom Boxing, right? So I feel like I can bring it up because he brought it up on a public forum. Teofimo Lopez mentioned in the video with Matchroom Boxing that him and his, I guess his wife, they split up, whatever. So that could weigh on a fighter. That could play a role in this fight. Then you factor in him having a kid on the way. Then you factor in everybody asking him about all these fights. It's possible he could be not focused on this fight. But from what I can see, from what I saw with my own 4 eyes, that God gave me, and that these glasses help me maintain. Everything I can see is that Teofimo Lopez is more than focused for this fight, and he wants to do a demolition job on George Kambosos. I didn't see any reason in the gym for me to think that he's not focused on this fight, and if he wasn't, I would tell you, but I haven't seen any reason. BT, are you ready for the Haney's to start pushing the narrative that Teo is ducking them by going after Josh Taylor, even though they still have a petition for the fight? Yeah, that's what we're gonna do tomorrow. Tomorrow, the one question I'm gonna ask him, and please feel free to remind me. The one question I'm gonna ask Devin tomorrow, or Bill, or whoever I get in contact with from their team, is should you win this fight against JoJo, will you petition with the WBC for the fight next? Because, Devin's a very talented fighter. A lot of people think that Devin has a style to beat Teo. So do they think Devin has a style to beat Teo? Because if all you got to do is petition for the fight and you're in the same weight class, it's a big money fight for the lightweight division. It's one of the hottest fights in boxing. Why waste any time? Why waste any time? Like, what are you going to do if you don't petition for the fight with Teo? Are you going to sit there and wait for Tank? Because Tank ain't calling you. I'm telling you right now. I was just in the presence of Tank. Tank's just going to fight whoever Leonard Ellaby, Mayweather Promotions, and all parties involved put in front of Tank. That's who he's going to fight. You're not going to see him call out nobody. I'm telling you all that right now. I was just in his presence for the last, I don't know how many hours when I was there, but like, don't hold your breath on Tank, okay? As far as what are you going to do? Wait for Lomachenko to fight you? I mean, I think Devin said himself he didn't want to fight Lomachenko. The only fight I could see for Rolly, realistically, not Rolly, Devin, if he doesn't get the Teo fight, is Rolly. Fight Rolly. Fight Rolly. Why not? Because Rolly's been talking trash. Rolly thinks he could beat you. Make that shit happen. What is your prediction for Lyndon Arthur versus Anthony Yarde? That's a good fight. I haven't really thought too much about that fight. Tunde Ajayi is still in the corner of Anthony Yarde, and Anthony Yarde is still very muscle bound. I don't really think they're gonna change much in their camp. So they say, Albert Einstein once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I feel like that's what he's doing. So, we'll see. Well, I'm not a believer in Yarde like that anymore. I was at one point, but then he reached a certain level with Tunde at British level, never made the appropriate changes, so I've lost faith in him. I got Lyndon Arthur by UD. I think Lyndon Arthur actually wins this fight easier than the first time, and I think Lyndon Arthur, just so long as he's mentally right, because he didn't look mentally right at the press conference, the first one I watched, I think Lyndon Arthur should beat Anthony Yarde. He's got one of the best jabs at 175. He should outbox Anthony Yarde. BT, isn't the Figueroa Fulton fight bigger than Lopez versus Kambosos? I think it is. I have no interest in Lopez's fight. If you want it from a straight boxing standpoint, it is. It is because it's a unification fight. Cool. It's a good fight. But I'm sorry, man. Y'all gonna have to forgive me, but I love Teofimo Lopez, and I think Teofimo Lopez is one of the best fighters in boxing. He's one of the most entertaining fighters in boxing. These two fighters are talking a lot of shit. They're getting me gassed up, so I'm excited for this fight. That's the one I'm going live for. We'll catch up with that other one later on. But yeah, in terms of boxing, just pure boxing, it's a bigger fight because it's a unification fight. It's number 1 at 122 versus number 2 at 122. But yeah. Is Angelo Leo getting the loser next? No, he's not. I know who he's fighting next, but I can't say who it is. I know who he's fighting next, but I'm not gonna say who it is. It's a good fight. I think you guys, whenever it gets announced, I'm sure you guys will be pleased. But I can't really say much on who he's fighting. But I can assure you, it's not Fulton, and it's not Figueroa. He learned how to beat him. He should be able to carry out the same fight with Yarde, being a bodybuilder who got exactly. And Tunde Ajayi, he's gonna go in there and he's gonna say, "Lions in the camp, lions, Anthony, lions, be a lion." Like, come on, man. All that shit ain't gonna work at the world level against creme de la creme, championship level fighters. You gotta have something to you besides motivation. You gotta give him some clear cut instructions, because when that kitchen gets hot, when it gets hot in that ring, Anthony Yarde has to be able to look at his trainer and his coach and trust that the advice he's giving him is sound and it's leading him towards victory. And Anthony Yarde, I think he's too loyal. 704 Joe, what's good, champ? He says, come on, if Teo fought Loma, again, you know Loma wins. Loma gave it away, underestimating Teo. Well, listen, that's his wrongdoing if he did. Personally, I don't think he underestimated him. I thought he fought his heart out, especially in the back half of that fight. I just think I don't think Loma can beat Teo. I think Teo is just wrong for him. I think Teo is wrong for him. And if they fight again, man, he's going to stop him. But listen, Teo has to move up. People don't understand. Teo is an incredibly wide guy. Teofimo Lopez is a guy that's struggling to make the 135-pound limit. So don't stay there much longer, because the longer you stay there, you're going to risk yourself getting punished. And that's the thing. That's what I'm interested to see in this fight. How will his weight carry if this fight goes more than 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds? Because, you know, anybody who knows anything about boxing and the body and the brain knows that when a fighter is weight drained, that means there's fluid around. Normally, when you walk around, there's fluid around your brain, okay? But when you're weight drained, there's less fluid around your brain. So then when you get punched, your punch resistance goes down. And, you know, we're going to see Teo's punch resistance get tested if Camposos starts touching him. You know what I'm saying? What do you think of Bivol versus Umar Salamov? Good fight. Salamov is very awkward, good boxer. Bivol, one of the best technical and most proficiently technical fighters out there in boxing. Hell of a fight. Is it official, or is that just a hypothetical matchup you're throwing out? Because I haven't heard anything about that. Do you think Shakur beats Teo easy? I don't know about easy, but I think Shakur is the best fighter from 130 to 135 of these young guys. I got Shakur. I'm taking Shakur against the field. Nobody's beating Shakur. Teo ain't beating Shakur. Devin definitely ain't beating Shakur. Gervonta's not beating Shakur. None of these guys beating Shakur. And I've always felt this way. I've always felt like, you know, when it comes to those guys at 130 to 135, to me, it's 1A and 1B is Shakur and Teo, and then there's everybody else. That's how I see it. Rolly's been running from Haney. Hello, how are you going to say he picked the fight when they already tried to make it? Well, hey, I'm just saying that was then. I'm not talking about then. I'm talking about the future. You know, Rolly don't got an opponent now. I know Rolly's hell-bent on wanting to fight Tank. Tank, you know, it's funny. Gervonta Davis was asked today at the media workout. He was asked once by me, and he was asked once by Champside, will he fight Rolly? And he said yes, but he gave very short, very indifferent answers. So I don't know if that's a fight that's gonna happen next. So if Tank don't fight Rolly and Devin needs an opponent and you won't fight Teo, to me that seems like a sensible fight. You know? Now from what I understand, from what I've heard through the grapevine through multiple people, when Devin tried to make that fight Rolly, I heard he lowballed Rolly on the offer. I won't throw out no figures, but I know I've heard some figures thrown out there, but I'm not gonna say them. Hyro, what's good, champ? My main man, 50 grand. He says, Teo cut the ring off. The my shoulder excuse, yet he couldn't do anything with his footwork. Exactly. That's why I'm saying you can't be out here making excuses and capping for Lomachenko. You know, if he's got the best footwork in boxing, that was the fight where he needed to use it for all 12 rounds if his shoulder was that bad. And he didn't do it for all 12 rounds. He only did it towards the back half of that fight. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I agree with you, Hyro. But listen, it's the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're live here. Shout out to all 36 of you. Make sure you hit that like button. Take the time to subscribe. Super chat if you support the channel. And that would be appreciated. Check out all the Gervonta Davis content. We here, man, live. You know, some people get tired making this content. I get better making this content because I'm doing what I love doing, and I'm talking to great people. So keep the questions coming. That 12th round told me that Lomachenko will never be able to beat Teo. Loma needed that round badly, and he had just won a few rounds in a row. And Teo bit down and dominated the round and buzzed Loma as well. And that's a very underrated point. That's a point that doesn't get talked about enough. Everybody always talks about the 3 to 4 rounds where Loma had success, right? But when push came to shove and he needed to bite down on that mouthpiece and show that grit, show that dog, let that dog come out and start, you know, barking and be on full display. You know, Teo's dog proved to be a bit bigger than Loma's dog. And I wholeheartedly agree with your statement. I can't see Teofimo Lopez doing anything to Josh Taylor. He is a dead man walking at 140. I don't agree with that 140 comment. You know, I think Teofimo Lopez will actually be stronger at 140 because he won't have to cut the weight and he'll be able to, you know, retain more of his strength throughout the fight. But that Josh Taylor fight, I'll tell you this, man. That's a fight for me where I'm picking. I think Josh Taylor beats Teo, and I want to see that fight because I question if Teo can beat him. And listen, when you get these fights in boxing where you got to question the picks either way, that's when you know you got a great fight. So hopefully that fight can happen sooner rather than later. You know, but we appreciate everyone here. If Teo fights Taylor right after Cambosos, he loses bad, like really, really bad. My man Deed is letting them know. He says, "Stay away from Josh Taylor. You don't want no Josh Taylor smoke." You know. So let me see. But yeah, listen. Program reminder. I'm gonna keep reminding you guys every couple minutes. Lopez Kambosos live fight reaction. While I'm back in South Florida for my very brief stay, Pops will be part of the Teofimo Lopez live. So it's been a while since we had Pops on live. So you guys have a lot to look forward to this weekend. Hyro says, I'm ready for New Year's Eve, man. Kazuto Aoka will steal Fighter of the Year. He's going to be the only unified champion in 115. Man, Guile knew he didn't have it. He didn't. Hence why he is not the unified champion. Yeah, it's a good fight. You know, Kazuto Ioka is a hell of a fighter. You know, one of the best fighters out there. Pound for pound. For my money, pound for pound, the most underrated fighter in boxing. You know, and I like the fight with Nkas because Nkas has been, even though Nkas is the longest reigning champion at super flyweight, he needs that big fight, that signature fight, and this could be that for him. So it's great for both fighters involved. Toby, what's good, champ? He says, salute BT from the UK. Hit that like button, guys, and support the channel. 100%. 100%. Thank you, Toby. Teo straight right hand counter will land on Taylor. Well, Teo just needs to worry about Camposos. Let's not worry about Taylor. Worry about Camposos, because if you don't get past Camposos, you can kiss Taylor goodbye. You know, and you got to remember too. Look, I like Teo. I'm a fan. I'm a supporter. But look, let's be real. Teofimo Lopez has talked bad about a lot of the promotional and boxing entities, like, you know, a lot of he talked bad about Top Rank. He's talked bad about Triller. He's talked bad about Showtime. So my thing is this: he can do that now because he's in a power position. But if he somehow loses to Camposos, I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be hard for him to get fights. It's gonna be hard for him to get fights. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Jesus M says, what are your plans for the rest of the week? That's a great question, man. So tonight, right now, I'm talking to you guys on the live. At some point in time, Sean Zattel is probably gonna call me, and then me and him are gonna go hang out because I'm spending Thanksgiving with Sean. You know, and then right now I'm waiting for him to call me because he's doing the Sean Porter podcast right now, wherever the hell that's at in Vegas. Tomorrow's the Devin Haney media workout, so I'll be getting you guys content from there. After the Devin Haney media workout, I'm supposed to hang out with my boy Johnny and Angelo Leo tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. Thursday, let's see what's going on Thursday. I'm not really sure what's going on Thursday. My Thursday's pretty free right now, so Thursday's up for grabs. Friday night, I'm going back home to South Florida. Saturday, I'm going live for the fight. Sunday, I'm gonna relax. Monday, I'll probably go to a gym in South Florida. Tuesday, I'm going to the Florida. Oh no. Sunday, I'm not relaxing. Sunday, I'm going to the Miami Dolphins Carolina Panthers game with my friend. So yeah, Saturday going live for the fight. Sunday going to the Dolphins Carolina Panthers game. Monday, I'm going to a gym. Tuesday, I'm going to the Florida Panthers hockey game probably. And then probably Wednesday or Thursday, my ass to come right back here to Vegas. So a very, very busy life. Very, very busy life. Jose R, what's good, champ? He says, hey, man, I thought I was tripping. I seen you at the tank training today in the interview. Yeah, I was there, man. We were there with all the media today. Absolutely bossed the media scrum. It was good to be seen. You know, it was crazy, right? I want y'all to go check out Fight Hype. If y'all go on Fight Hype, I actually made it onto Fight Hype. I was talking on Fight Hype, and I was telling people on Fight Hype to subscribe to True School Sports, and I was hitting the bag and talking shit. It was cool. So overall, it's been a good day. Boxing Hog says Rolly's fighting for 100K. So I don't know how low it could be, but Rolly got no footwork for Devin. Listen, I'm not gonna throw no numbers out there, but it was below that number you stated. That's all I gotta say. Usyk versus Fury, good fight. Hopefully it can happen sooner rather than later. Cam Newton is back. Yes, he is. And like I wasn't the most excited for the tickets. Like when I bought the tickets to the Dolphins Panthers game, I wasn't that excited because I'm like a casual NFL fan at this point. But when the Panthers signed Cam Newton, I was like, man, we made it. I was like, man, this is gonna be a great time. So I'm looking forward to it. I love this channel, BT, and I watch every fight weekend extravaganza. Subscribe, sent your first video on Johnny Beck. Keep up the good work. Yeah, man. What's funny? It's funny you mentioned that 1, 2, 3, and I appreciate all the positive comments and all the support here on the channel from you. Johnny Beck, right? I made a video about Johnny Beck. I'm calling it Johnny Beck Anukole, the man to meet Demetrius Andre ? It'll drop soon. Definitely check it out. Man. Johnny Beck, I thought he performed well against Ndam, but I felt like he lacked that extra bit of quality, and I'm a little bit more confident about the Andrade fight now. I think he'll give him some fits. He might even hurt him or buzz him, but I think Demetrius Andrade will outbox him and get a UD. But it's still a dangerous fight that he could win. I saw that. Yeah, I got onto the PBC post, man. We're in the big leagues now, champ. You know, Fight Eye, PBC, we're everywhere. The first game, Cam came back. Every bar in Charlotte was packed. Yeah, man. Cam Newton's back. This shit is like Michael Jordan coming. It's like when Michael Jordan came back to the Wizards. It's that crazy. But yeah, a lot of things going on in boxing today. A lot of things are going on in boxing right now. But right now the focus has got to be the lightweight division, because we have, like I said, we got 3 of the biggest young names from the USA fighting in an 8-day span. Tank, Teo, Devin. Now I'm going to ask you guys this question. I want to hear from you guys. We got Teo versus Kambosos, Devin versus JoJo, and Tank versus Isaac Cruz. I'm going to ask you guys, of those 3 opponents, all right, of those 3 fights, who do you think will have the best performance between Tank, Teo, and Devin? Let me know in the comments. For me, I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe for the life of me I'm saying this. I actually think the guy that will have the best performance is Devin. I don't know why. I've heard a lot of things about what's going on with training with him. I feel like Devin's just due for. I really believe Devin Haney is due for a big performance, and I think JoJo got the style for him to do it. Teo, I think ring ref will play a role. I think he'll eventually stop Camposos, but he'll have a little bit of trouble before he does it. Tank will stop Cruz, but I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Devin. What do you guys think? When are you going back to South Florida, man? Vegas don't deserve you. Why are you saying that, champ? Why are you saying that? Why you say that? I'm going to South Florida Friday. So I'll be back in South Florida Saturday morning. I leave Friday night. I'm not gonna be there for long because, like I told you, I'm going there literally just to take. One of my best friends in Florida, his little brother is a big Carolina Panthers fan, so I bought him and myself a ticket to go to the game months ago, and I promised him I would take him. So I'm going back to fulfill my promise to my friend's little brother, and he's a big Cam Newton fan, so he's been over the moon about it since Cam Newton re-signed with the team. So I'm literally going back to Florida just to fulfill that, and then I'm gonna spend some time with my dad while I'm there and catch up with some friends, in the 3 to 4 days that I'm gonna be home, and then I'm coming right back here to Vegas, So 4 days. I'll tell you guys this. Now I don't know if this is gonna happen, but I'm gonna tell you guys this. Triple G is actually training in South Florida right now at the Heavyweight Factory, but I heard he's very private about his training, so I'm trying to get that interview set up. If that's the only interview I can get while I'm home, then I'll consider that a success. But I'm gonna try to get that for you guys. If it don't happen, it don't happen. But I'm gonna try. XA99X says Crawford and Andrade are the 2 best American boxers in the present moment. I absolutely 100% agree with you. 100%. Demetrius Andrade, and no disrespect to Crawford, but to me, I got Andrade as number 1 in America. I think he's the best fighter. I think he's the toughest puzzle to solve. From 160 to 175, he's the hardest fighter to beat. And great performance from him against Quigley this past weekend. I was really encouraged by that. And I'm glad we got like-minded people who know their boxing, champ. I agree. I absolutely agree. BT, damn, bro, you're such a hard worker. Major respect to you. You do such a great job covering the sport. Major respect. Absolutely, we do our best, champion. And I'm telling y'all, man, like November has been a cute little month here on True School Sports, but I'm telling you, December is gonna be something crazy. I mean, like I told you, I'll be here for the Devin Haney fight. The weekend after that, I'm going to Mexico for a fight. And I never been to Mexico before, but I'm going with Angelo Leo, Miguel Leo, and my boy Paul Ponte for his second pro fight. So I'll be getting some content for that. And then we're going to Gilberto Ramirez versus Yunies Gonzalez. And then after that, we're gonna rest for like the rest of the year in South Florida. And then the Luis Ortiz Charles Martin card that just got announced. That's right there in South Florida. So plenty of things in boxing to keep me busy. He said, Florida is paradise and Vegas is full of hookers and cigarettes. Yes, South Florida is paradise. I agree with that, champ. But I like Vegas too. Vegas got a good fight scene, so I like Vegas. Black Lives Matter Boxing. How you living, champ? Good to see you. Shout out to my guy John again with the $4.99 super chat. Yo, this live has been brought to you in part by my main man from Long Island, John. I got to start sending people who send super chat shirts when I get some shirts made. But shout out to John. He says, BT, I'm so happy my boy Bud Crawford finally got to show the world how great he really is with the Porter stoppage. Spence has nowhere to hide. And the best, and I agree with you. And the best part about that fight is that Spence knows he has nowhere to hide, and that's why he got right up out of there. As soon as the referee waved that off, Errol Spence cleared it out with the whole crew. He said, "Let me get up on out of here before people start pressuring me to get in that ring and whatnot." You know, listen, Errol Spence has created a lot of division in the welterweight division over the last couple of years with the whole side of the street thing. He set the stipulations for Crawford all the time. Every time Crawford met the stipulations, he moved the goalposts. It was like he was like the American Amir Khan. The same thing Amir Khan did to Kell Brook when they were supposed to fight. He was doing to Terrence Crawford. And the funny thing is now, funny enough, Amir Khan and Kell Brook, they're saying that fight's almost finalized. They're talking about them fighting in February. So hey, maybe we finally get that fight. But Errol Spence Jr., I'm a fan of his. I'm not as big of a fan of his as I used to be because he's become a diva ever since he won the title. He's become a straight diva, only fighting the in-house guys and then shutting down any and all possibility for a Crawford fight at every opportunity. So it's kind of turned me against him in that way, but he's a good fighter. Hopefully, for the sake of boxing in 2022, we can get that fight. I think in boxing next year, if we can get Crawford versus Spence, Khan versus Brook, Fury versus Usyk, or Fury versus Joyce. We're gonna get Cholatito Estrada 3. If we can get Savannah Marshall versus Clarissa Shields, somebody at some big fight at 135. I really do believe 2022 has a great chance to be a banner year for boxing. What do you guys think? Errol Spence didn't want to make another company great, like Floyd says. Well, look, what else I got? Like, oh my. I'm done with Errol Spence, man. Just make this fight happen. I don't want to say anything bad about Errol Spence because I met Errol Spence. I quite like Errol Spence. I think he's a lovely individual. I think he's a great person and a great human being. But when it comes to Errol Spence, the fighter, as it pertains to one Terrence Bud Crawford, he needs to hike his skirt up and fight him. And that's just where I'm at. That's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Boxing is a business has destroyed the sport. It has. You want to know? I'm gonna say it's can't say it's destroyed the sport. The sport's still going, but what I'll say is like there's nothing wrong with promoters protecting their business interests. There's nothing wrong with fighters taking tune-ups because fighters do need tune-ups. Tune-ups are good for fighters because if all these fighters just fought the best fighters every single fight, they would be like Alex Saucedo and they retire at 26. You know, you have to manage these fighters' careers. That's why they have managers. You know, that's why it's in the title. Managers. There's nothing wrong with promoters protecting their business interests, but there has to be a healthy balance. There has to be a healthy balance. And, you know, in the 90s, in like the 80s even, there was more of a healthy balance. Yes, there were times where, like, you know, you got Sugar Ray Leonard and he kind of did similar things to what Canelo did, and he went up and he picked Diane Lalonde, which was looked at as a cherry pick when he could have gave Hagler a rematch. There's been like that type of bullshit has been in boxing for years, but you know, Leonard still fought the top guys at some point. he didn't dilly dally around. He may have for a time, but when it, there at least came a point where he fought someone. We look at a guy like Canelo now, right? And I don't want to talk about him too long, but I'm using him as an example. Look at a guy like him. He's cherry picking his way up to history. He's fighting Makabu, who has no durability, who pulls punch resistance isn't that good. He's been inactive for over a year and a half. When they fight, he'll have been inactive for 18 months. He's a great example of like boxing being a business interfering with the greater good of the sport. Same thing with even like Tank. I like Tank, fan of his. I cheered for him when he fought Leo and all these some of his other fights. But let's call a spade a spade. They're doing their thing. They're making him a star. People outside the hardcore boxing fans, they know who Tank is because of the knockouts, because of the Floyd cosign, because of hip hop culture, things like that. But is Gervonta Davis necessarily great for boxing from the competitive standpoint? No, because he hasn't fought the most dangerous opponents out there. But I think in time, when the money makes sense, they'll do it. It's just all of it is a calculated calculated moves from the other promotions. Floyd fought smaller guys. There's been plenty of fighters in the history of boxing who have fought smaller guys and got criticized for it. So Tank is no different. But you want to see these fights happen because in the social media age where we talk about these fights all the time, it just feels like it's been so long. Teofimo's dad showed his card at the open workouts. He knows Kambosos is going to kill or be killed, and he's not scared of Junior. He's not. That's why I'm excited for this fight, and I'm glad you said it that way. Sub-Zero. Shout out to my man Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. I'm glad you said it that way because George Camposos, listen, win, lose, or draw, George Camposos is an alpha male. This guy is a man. He carries himself like a boss. Nothing phases him. Nothing gets under his skin. He's just ready for some smoke. He's ready for some smoke. And fair play to him because we got a lot of fighters in the 135-pound division that ain't ready for no smoke. They need to fight 3 fights, 2 fights. He said no, he's ready for some smoke. And Teo's 24, Kambosos is 28. So if you want to go by what history tells us about fighters is that George Kambosos is in his prime and maybe Teofimo Lopez is a little bit before his prime. So I'm just saying, man, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. 123 says, a GGG interview with BT. Oh my God. If this happens, I will be extremely happy. Shit, me too, man. Like, we're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna tell you guys, look, I'm gonna go to the heavyweight factory. I'm gonna go early in the morning because I'm pretty sure he strikes me as a guy that trains early in the morning. So I'm gonna go early in the morning. I'm gonna talk to some people that I know at the gym. We'll try to set it up and just give you guys that great world-class content because I got some questions for GGG. I want to know why he doesn't want to fight Demetrius Andrade. I want to know about a lot of things, just not even past stuff in his career, It's great to see Bud leave Top Rank. But Bob didn't treat him well. I think he is part of the reason he couldn't get the fight. Top Rank is a good developmental promotional company, but they don't want to pay him. Yeah, it's like they'll do everything to lure you in and develop you and make you a name, but then when it comes time to pay those premium dollars for them top fights, Top Rank continues in this day and age. Maybe in the past they were better about this, but in this day and age, they've been driving the ball a lot. I think it's hysterical that Canelo found a way to go to undisputed at 168 without fighting arguably the best and most dangerous that was in the division, Dave Benavidez. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I don't. If you watch my channel, John, I don't really think Dave Benavidez is the best or the most dangerous. I think, in my opinion, and this is why I give Canelo credit, I thought he beat the most dangerous 68-pounder, and that was Caleb Plant. I thought he beat the toughest style matchup out there for him. Benavidez to me will be a cakewalk for him, an absolute cakewalk, and he'll get ruined. Floyd Mayweather was bad for boxing. Boxing doing the same chip picking, looking for the easy fights. Canelo learned that from that fight. Yeah, man, it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Listen, what I can tell you guys is this. This is a big reason why I would encourage all boxing fans that watch my channel, that watch my platform, to as much as possible, support the smaller weight classes, support 115, support that division in particular, because you got great fighters in that weight class like Chocolatito, Gaio Estrada, Kazuto Ioka, you got Jerwin and Cajas. You got a lot of great, talented pound for pound caliber fighters in that weight class that ain't ducking no smoke, but they don't get the attention. So us as boxing fans, we gotta do better ourselves. We can't continue to contribute to toxic boxing fan culture and continue to focus on what's wrong with boxing, because for as many things that are as wrong with boxing, there's plenty of things in boxing that are as right with the sport, but those things don't get talked about because it's not popular to have good news. It's not popular to be positive. It's better to say no, man, this guy's fucking ducking. He's a cherry pick. Fuck that guy. Better than hey, man, we got a great fight here between Chocolatito and Gallo and whatever, you know? So I'm just saying, the weight classes where people are fighting each other like 115, 122, 140, these weight classes need more support. And the fighters, the top names in these weight classes, the contenders as well, these fighters need more support. Let me see. Camposos is tough, but you guys are letting Teofimo's antics cloud their judgments. Camposos is getting stopped. I think so too. I think within 7 rounds. Hyro says, I hope the Basio Umchunu blocks the Canelo fight. Oh man, so if y'all don't know what Hyro's talking about, let me be the first to inform you. Let's go to screen share right quick. Let's go to screen share because man, shout out to my main man, the Basio Umchunu. Oh my god. Oh my God, Canelo Umchunu. That's my guy. The Basio Umchunu out here about to block the damn fight. So for those that know and those that don't know, so you guys may know that Canelo Alvarez went to the WBC convention, or Eddie Reynoso went to the WBC convention on behalf of Canelo Alvarez, and he looked Mauricio Sulaiman dead in his eye, and he said, Busca de campeón de crucero Makabu. And they were like, oh, I can't believe that Makabu's fighting, that Canelo's going to fight a cruiserweight. But unbeknownst to me, because I didn't even know this till last night, and then when I saw this is welcome news. So the Basio Umchunu, who is a solid contender, former world title challenger, he ain't stepping aside. He's the number 1 ranked contender, the mandatory challenger for the WBC title that Makabu holds. And he is not going to step aside for Canelo Alvarez. I love this. He won the Eliminator in March, all right, of this year. And he's not having it. So apparently, Sean Smith, who's a trainer of Mchunu, said, I quote, we won't take step aside money. We want to fight Makabu and win the WBC title. Canelo wants to fight Makabu in May. Between that, Makabu must settle the score with Tabasio. We are in the gym, but obviously Mchunu needs to know exactly what is happening. This is a surprise to me, but I'm sure he will continue to make history. Makabu has a mandatory defense signed with Mchunu. I will make the immediate communication. They recorded a January date, but for the fight, but their promoter said that he won't be ready for January 8th. I will immediately address this issue. So not so fast, Canelo, not so fast, Reynoso. The Basio Umchunu about to make you have to listen. I hope Umchunu gets his title shot for one, because it's the right thing to do. Umchunu earned the shot. Umchunu is a good fighter. Umchunu actually fought Makabu early in his career, and this is actually a rematch. So I know he wants to get back and take that title off of Umchunu. And yeah, like he should get a chance to. And while he's doing that, Canelo Alvarez should fight one of the 4 people that the boxing public and the boxing fans want to see him fight. Now, we know he's not fighting Demetrius Andrade because Canelo Alvarez doesn't have the balls and is too much of a coward to fight Demetrius Andrade. That's a fact. But if you don't want to fight him, fight Benavidez. A lot of people want him to fight Benavidez. Not me in particular, but a lot of the public do want to see that fight. So get the fans they want to see. If not him, then Bivol. If not Bivol, then Beterbiev. If not Beterbiev, then Charlo. Pick any one of those 5, and I think with the general boxing public, that will suffice, and that will be satisfactory more so than a fight with Makabu, a fighter that is good, a fighter that is champion, a fighter that I respect and am a fan of, but ultimately a fighter that most people do not know about. So, did you hear that Hearn is going to urge the WBO to mandate Andrade versus Charlo? Well, let's hope Eddie Hearn does something other than talk about, Canelo and them British fighters that keep getting knocked out like Kid Galahad. Like, come on. I think if that happens, if it comes down to Charlo having to fight Andrade, I think he'll vacate the belt. He'll vacate the belt and fight some random guy in the top 15. Nah, bro. Plant was the weakest at 68. Absolutely not. You're not gonna sit here and tell me Caleb Plant was worse than Canelo Smith. Canelo Smith sitting there, shelling up, giving up his size, not doing anything. That was the weakest champ at 68. Caleb Plant actually did way better than Smith did. He won. I mean, I went back and I've watched that fight multiple times. When I watched it multiple times, I've had Caleb Plant winning as much as 6, sometimes 7 rounds. When I watched the fight in real time, I had him winning 4 rounds. So even if you want to go by what I scored it when I watched it live, Caleb Plant did better than Canelo Smith. And Caleb Plant, like don't get me started on Canelo Smith. He's not the weakest champion. I totally disagree. I think styles make fights. Caleb will beat no, hell no, hell no. Caleb Smith will lose about 8 rounds, 8 to 9 rounds, easy money. He especially because like don't use what he did in his last fight against Lennon Castillo as a point now, because the Canelo Smith that exists now is different than the Canelo Smith that fought at 168, because the Canelo Smith that fought at 168 didn't realize that he was 6'3" and he was trained by Joe Gallagher, and Joe Gallagher didn't really teach him much. So when he fought them elite guys, he got found out. When he fought Ryder, he got found out. When he fought Canelo, he really got found out. You know, Canelo Smith at 168 is absolutely overrated. I mean, Caleb Plant would box circles around him. You look like the 115-pound regular champion Joshua Franco. I saw him in the RGBA. Well, I take that as a compliment because I've seen Joshua Franco. He has a beautiful looking girlfriend. So Joshua Franco gets bitches, man. So hey, I take it as a compliment. Shout out to Joshua Franco, good fighter. But yeah, man. Shout out to my boy again, John, with the $4.99 super chat. He said Andre laid into Hearn in his post-fight interview about getting a big fight. Whatchamacallit? Hearn better get on the Charlie unification, whatever it takes, man. Well, look, if not that fight, right? If not that fight, because I'm just gonna assume that Al Heyman will not let a Eddie Hearn matchroom fighter beat up on his weakest champion at one of his weakest champions in his whole stable. So let's just assume that doesn't happen. I think the fight that has to happen is the Munguia fight. Munguia has no excuse. Munguia has been #1 ranked in the WBO for God knows how long, over 2 years. I recently just had a conversation on Instagram with the matchmaker of Golden Boy Promotions, Eric. What's his name? Roberto Diaz. Great guy, lovely fellow. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, my bad, guys. I got a phone call from my boy Sean to tell. I want to see him in the morning. We're not gonna hang out tonight. So hey, that means you guys got more of my time now. So we'll extend the live a bit more. But yeah, man. Getting back to your question, I feel like Munguia is the fight that should happen. And I was just getting into the conversation I had with Golden Boy matchmaker Roberto Diaz. Great guy, lovely fellow, one of the best people I've ever met in boxing. But I told him, I said, hey, the Andre fight versus Munguia is the fight you got to make. It's a great fight. It's an exciting fight. He pretty much shot it down and was like, nah, it's a boring fight. Do you think it'll really be an exciting fight? I said yes, because Munguia has the style to make Andre to actually sit there and fight him, and you'll get an exciting fight. And he was right there, like Jason Quigley is a Golden Boy fighter, so Roberto Diaz had a front row seat to see Andre park Jason Quigley, but he already told me that they're looking more to make the Golovkin fight. You know, they think that's a more exciting fight. They think the fight has more prestige, so they're gonna go look to make that fight. But I can give you guys some encouragement. Me and Roberto Diaz are gonna sit down next month in San Antonio because I'm going to San Antonio for the Gilberto Ramirez Yuniesi Gonzalez fight to support my future wife, the lovely and equally talented Sinisa Estrada. She's on undercard, so I'll be there to support her. But me and him are supposed to sit down, and when we sit down, I'm gonna talk to him and I'm gonna try to push for that fight and use the little bit of influence I have to try and get him to see things the way they should be. Because look, Golovkin is old. He's already lost. All right, he's already lost, man. Like, he's lost. He's old. Munguia will get some credit for it, but like, what would be better than being a 2-division undefeated champion? You know, and then on top of that, a lot of people are gonna like Munguia if he can beat Andre, because a lot of people hate Andre because they say he's boring and whatnot. So that will get Andre out the way. So that's actually a feather in the Munguia cap. There's no reason it shouldn't happen. There's no reason it shouldn't happen. He said, nah, Caleb didn't get knocked out and has punching power. Did you see what he did to Castillo? Yeah, again, you can't use the Castillo fight because the Castillo fight was when he was trained by Buddy McGirt. He got an American trainer that made him understand he's 6'3", and he started boxing like that. Go watch Caleb Smith against Canelo. Go watch Caleb Smith against John Ryder. Go watch Caleb Smith against Nishiki Holshkin. These are all fights where Caleb Smith routinely gave up his size. So the Caleb Smith you're talking about didn't fight the Canelo you're talking about. The Caleb Smith that fought Castillo wasn't the Caleb Smith that fought Canelo. Straight up, it wasn't. It was a different guy. It was a completely different guy. Man, yeah, he can punch. Yeah, he can crack. But when he was at 68, he was weight drained and he didn't know how to use his height. But then he got Buddy McGirt, who's made a living teaching guys, like whether it be Gotti or Kovalev or whoever the case may be, Johnny Beck, Alam Coley. He's made a living of teaching guys how to box tall and set up them right hands. So don't give me that, oh, look what he did to Castillo talk, because, again, he's a different fighter. Got me fired up, man. Boxing Hawk says they're all scared of Andrade style. It freaks people out because they don't know how to. Yeah, they don't know what to expect. They don't know what to expect because you watch his fights. One fight you get a technical boxer, then you get a slugger, then you get, he doesn't fight the same two fights the same way. And you had to beat Andrade. You had to be a fighter of not just good IQ but exponentially high IQ. Big IQ, and a lot of these guys just don't have it. Most fighters in boxing today, they're either technical fighters or they're just sluggers, / pressure fighters. It's very rare you can get a guy that has a little bit of everything. And Munguia, I like him. I think he's matured. I think he's a bit of a different fighter now than he was early in his career when he was at 54 and he trained Robert Alcazar. I think Eric Morales has gotten a good tune out of him. He's ready. He's at least competent enough to be in the ring with Andrade now. There was a point in time where I didn't even think he was competent enough to be in the ring with Andrade, but now he is. So what's the holdup? I don't want to hear about Golovkin. I don't want to hear about Murata. I don't want to hear about nobody else but Demetrius Andrade. So look, I respect Golden Boy Promotions. I respect Roberto Diaz. I respect anybody who works and makes a living in this sport, because boxing is a hard sport to make a living in, whether you're a reporter like myself, whether you're a content creator like myself, whether you're a matchmaker like Roberto Diaz, whether you're a promoter like Eddie Hearn, whether you're a fighter like Demetrius Andrade or Munguia. Being in this sport is tough all the way around the board. So I respect everybody who participates in this sport and gives their life to the sport. But man, there's too many bodies at 160 to duck Demetrius Andrade, and I just want to see who's who. I want to see if Munguia is what they say he is. Shout out to my guy, Keen Mitch. BT, what up? As usual, shout out to the sponsors. And yes, if you don't know the sponsors, this is always for Keen. Keen gets a special welcome when we come in here. True School Sports, the untouchable True School Sports empire has been brought to you has unofficially been brought to you in part by, our sponsors. And Jarrell Miller, the former heavyweight contender, he's going to tell you who our sponsors are. So Big Baby, let him know.
Vienna sausage, cinnamon buns, Wonder Bread, Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar.
Ooh, Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar. Hey, Big Baby, I don't think they got it the first time. Let them know again.
Vienna sausage, cinnamon buns, Wonder Bread, Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar.
There you have it. The sponsors have been activated. Yes, only Keen, the only person that's capable of activating the sponsorship is Keen. So shout out to Keen Mitch. You know, he always comes here and he always comes and he activates these sponsorships. Sub-Zero says Canelo took that fight on short notice and accepted all the demands of Canelo and had to make the certain weight. Well, again, that's another reason why he's not better than Caleb Plant. That's another reason why Caleb Plant isn't the weakest champion in the division, because when you're a fighter and you fight Canelo Alvarez, you have to understand your adversary. You have to understand your opponent. And anybody who fights Canelo before they fight him needs to understand they're not just fighting Canelo in the ring, they're fighting Canelo outside the ring. So Canelo Smith got his ass whooped, killed, destroyed in the fight with Canelo outside the ring. He bent the knee to Canelo outside the ring, and then he pretty much did everything but bent the knee to Canelo in the ring, not winning 5 seconds of any round. So in no way, shape, or form is Caleb Plant the weakest champion at 68. I'm not hearing it. You know, but shout out to everybody here. Nosy Rosie, what's good, champ? How you living? My opinion, Billy Joe Saunders, Plant Smith. Okay, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all, but I think that's more sensible than Smith. Any list of the 68-pound champions that Canelo beats that doesn't have Canelo Smith at the bottom is wrong. Is wrong. Nobody believes they can actually beat Andre in their heart. Honestly, they're using the boring word to make an excuse. Absolutely. Nobody thinks that they can beat Andre. And the way it's going, right, they're saying Demetrius Andre's fighting nobodies, right? So guess what? If he's going to fight these quote-unquote nobodies or these cannon fodder opposition for the rest of his career, then he's going to retire undefeated. He's going to retire undefeated as one of the best fighters of his era. So y'all better, the elites, y'all better fight him because he's going to retire undefeated. Can't have that. Oh man, Hyro. See, Hyro's activating the Jesse Hart. Hey, Jesse Hart, let him know who you are.
What's your name? What's your name?
J Hart, you already know what it is.
There we go.
You already know what it is.
That's what's up.
You already know what it is with me.
You already know what it is with me. Shout out to Jesse Hart, work hard. You know, a fighter that I don't know why I'm just a big fan of his. I like him. Jamel Charlo versus Castaño is going to happen next year. Yeah, I've heard. I heard through the grapevine what timetable they could be fighting in. So we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing, just looking forward to seeing Charlo get it in, man. Seeing if Charlo could actually put to bed Castaño. You know what I'm saying? Canelo Smith ran the whole fight. He actually tried. He would have been stopped as well. Canelo was a bit rusty from the layoff. Exactly. You know, Caleb Plant fought a match fit, you know, in shape Canelo. So it is what it is. My opinion, David Benavidez. Oh my God. No, he said David Benavidez is better than Jamal Andre Munguia. I cannot disagree with you anymore. So look, of those 4 fighters, Flow Kicks, this is how my list would go. I would have Andre number 1. He'd be number 1, hands down, because ain't none of the guys that you named beating him. So he's number 1. I don't know. After that, I don't even know, because I think all 3 guys after Andre that you named there are overrated. I think Benavidez is overrated. I think Jamal is overrated, and I think Munguia is improving, but he's still a little overrated as well. So no, pick however you want those guys to be, but Andre is number 1. That much I do know. Andre, there you go. That's more like it. That's more like it. I agree with that. I would have Munguia over Benavidez, but you know, I agree with that. You see, man, if Charlo wins, Tim Tszyu is going to sleep. He will not be champion anytime soon. Man, why you hating on my Aussie brother Tim Tszyu? Man, Tim Tszyu had one fight with Takashi Inoue where he goes distance, and now all the people are losing faith in Tim Tszyu. So hey, we'll see how it goes with Tim. I'm going to reserve my judgments on Tim until he has that first fight in America, because that'll be his litmus test. But every fight he's had so far, besides the Takashi Inoue fight that I've seen, he's looked great in. You know, he fought Dennis Hogan, who I look at as a world champion because he really beat Munguia, and he stopped Hogan faster than Charlo did. So Yeah. Tony Harrison would have whooped Tim Tszyu. I don't know, man, because Tony Harrison gasses out later in fights. Tim Tszyu gasses out as well. I think that's a pretty close fight. But skill-wise, yeah, he's a more skilled fighter than Tim Tszyu, but I think Tim Tszyu is physically stronger than him. So that could be the great equalizer if the fight actually happens. Munguia over Benavidez, no way. I never used to have Munguia over Benavidez, but man, the more time that passes, first of all, Munguia I think is actually getting better under Eric Morales. He showed me a lot in that Rosado fight. Benavidez, on the other hand, oh my God, bro. I don't know if there's a more overrated fighter in boxing right now than him. Not to say that he can't fight, not to say that Benavidez is bad, but man, the way some of you people talk about Benavidez, y'all talk about him like he's this like killer, and he's not a killer. This guy's not a killer at all. He could become a killer maybe in the future, but he's not a killer right now. Still too many things technically that he does wrong. He's fighting in the wrong weight class. Go up to 175. Let's see how he can go. Let's see how he can do it at actual weight that's his real weight and not kill himself to make 68. Go up to 75. Fight some of the top guys up there, and then we'll see how good Dave Benavidez is. But until then, he's a weight bully. He's a weight bully, and he'll get exposed the minute that Samson Lukowicz takes them training wheels off. He'll get exposed. I mean, he's been exposed already with training wheels on. So Tony Harrison is inconsistent. Hella skills though. On his best night, he could beat anyone in the division. He looked good. Yeah, Tony Harrison. I don't know if any of y'all, if any of you guys watch tennis, but I'm gonna compare Tony Harrison to one of my favorite tennis players. So, like in tennis, right? You got the big three. You got Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal. Those are the three best tennis players in the world, right? And then you got some of the younger guys, but those are like the three biggest names, the three best guys that have been winning the majority of these Grand Slams, right? Okay. But there's this one guy named Stan Wawrinka, and Stan Wawrinka on his day, he's proven that he could beat Djokovic. He's like Djokovic's kryptonite when he's on. Same thing when it goes to Federer. Same thing when it goes to Nadal. But the thing is, he's just so inconsistent, so you can't put him up there with those guys. But when he's on form, Stan Wawrinka is as good of a tennis player as anybody on planet Earth, and it's the same thing with Tony Harrison. On his day, like the days are few and far between. But man, when those days come, you get to see some of the most sublime boxing skills in the sport, so, big fan of his. Tell Johnny I said what's up if he's home. He's not home right now. He's actually out with some family, and I'm sitting here talking to you guys, getting ready for a big day tomorrow. Bro, Plant is overrated. Who has he fought, bro? He fought Canelo. And he won more rounds against him. He won more rounds against him than Billy Joe and the great Callum Smith, And he fought Uzcategui, who was a champion. He fought Porky Medina. And unlike Benavidez, he actually won every moment of every round. Benavidez was going back and forth with him, and he had some nervy moments in that fight. Freaking Caleb Plant had a better performance against Porky Medina than him. Yeah, his resume isn't that good, but guess what? Neither is David's. Nah, David ain't done shit yet. He's the youngest two-time champion because they gave it to him. You can't compare his overrated ass to Tank. Yeah, you can't. Resume talk is toast tires. It is because you can nitpick anybody's resume. Like I can go to Muhammad Ali's resume and I can nitpick anything. Any fight you can go to Ali's resume and nitpick. You can go to Chocolatito's resume and nitpick. You can go to Canelo's resume and definitely nitpick that because that deserves to be nitpicked. But I'm saying you go to any fighter's resume and nitpick what they're doing. You can go to Teo's resume and nitpick. You can go to Devin Haney's resume and nitpick. You can go to Michael Nunn's resume and nitpick. I mean, resume talk is for sheep. Resume talk is for people who don't know enough about boxing to talk about what's actually going on in the ring. So they got to pull out the piece of paper. This is a channel for the hardcores. This is a channel for people that love boxing. This is the home of boxing. This is true school sports. So enough of the resume talk. You can't nitpick Canelo. Yes, you can. It's literally one of the easiest resumes in boxing to nitpick. It's one of the most overrated resumes in the whole sport. But I'm not trying to talk about resume. So please, let's not go there, champ. I made it the other night. I was live and I pretty much crucified his whole resume. I showed you guys that his resume is not what you think it is. But I'll re-release it was part of the Demetrius Andre Jason Quigley live fight reaction. It's 7 hours long, so you won't have to look for it. I'm gonna put out the full 1 hour video where I basically picked apart his entire resume, and you guys can watch that when you get a chance. But yeah. Shout out to my boy H Money, Mr. Boxeo. Yeah. He says Benavidez would destroy Plant. Easy work. Absolutely not. Caleb Plant would turn that man into Carlos Galvin. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Caleb Plant versus Carlos Galvin, and that's how that fight would end. Yeah, the resume talk is the same as using comic books. At the end, it'll all be for who won a certain fight. Exactly. You know, it's tiresome. Canelo's resume, aka, is a nitpick. At least he's selecting chance, but if you know the sport for real, then you know. Exactly. Those who know. Andre only fights world champions. No, I never said that, but he's fought. I'll tell you this. He's got what 32 fights in his career now. I would say in his first 32 fights, he fought more live bodies than Cinnamon Boy. That's not debatable. But again, I'm trying to move off the resume talk, so please. The resume talk is boring, it's tiresome, it's for the mediocre that don't know anything about boxing. If you want resume talk videos, I'm gonna drop a whole 1 hour resume talk video soon, so stay tuned for that. Okay. You can't. Hyrule says you can't nitpick Tim Zoo's resume. That's for sure. He's got the best resume in boxing. What the fuck you talking about? Tim Zoo the truth. Plant has no power. His name is Sweet Hands for a reason. I wouldn't say that. You know, he did put Uzgataki on his ass twice. I wouldn't say he has no power. I would just say he's not an elite puncher. He's an average puncher at best, but he's not Paulie Malignaggi. He's not Tommy Hearns, but he's not Paulie Malignaggi either. He's just an average puncher. But everywhere else, when it comes to footwork, ring generalship, athleticism, speed, things like that, he's great everywhere else around the board, and that's why he won a world title. You know, he wouldn't have won a world title if he wasn't elite everywhere else around the board. And you know, at some point, look, I think Canelo Alvarez at some point in the next year, he'll vacate the titles at 68. He'll probably fight at 75, or maybe he'll go fight at cruiserweight or whatever. But he's not going to fight at 68 for very much longer. So them belts will fragment again, and I'm willing to bet. Well, no, I'm not going to say that because I don't bet on boxing. But I truly believe when them belts do fragment, Caleb Plant will become a 2-time super middleweight champion. You could take that to the bank. It's going to happen. Did you pick Plant to win against Canelo? I did, and I was wrong, but I did. I can admit when I was wrong, unlike a lot of you guys, but I did. And you know what? I went back and I watched that fight again multiple times. He was beating Canelo easy. Oh, my God. He was outboxing him so easy. Even if you didn't have Caleb Plant up, that fight was close. It could have been 5-5. It could have been 6-4 either way, but, man, like, when I actually had a chance to sit down in silence and just watch that fight, wow. He boxed a hell of a fight. He just, at the end of the day, he made a mistake in the 11th round. Canelo Alvarez caught him with a good shot. It's boxing. It happens. He did. Now you can connect the dots. Well, just because I picked him, listen, Caleb Plant is the best. Out of all the 68-pounders he fought, he's the best fighter he fought at 68. I didn't see Canelo Alvarez go over there and tell Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith, you have a beautiful family. You are a great fighter, man. You are a great fighter. He didn't tell Callum Smith he's a great fighter. He didn't tell Billy Joe Saunders he's a great fighter. He didn't say that they have beautiful families. He only told Caleb Plant that. So take that for what it's worth. November 27th, man. I want to see a real fight. He's fighting? Nah, stop playing. Stop playing. Shannon Briggs is fighting this weekend. Is he fighting Rampage Jackson? Is that happening? Don't tell me that's happening. Because if that's happening, fuck Teo. We going live for Shannon Briggs. We not watching no Teo. Shannon Briggs is fighting Rampage Jackson. Plant pissed and shipped blood for weeks after the Canelo fight. He was basically in a car wreck. Yeah, but he won the. He was outboxing him. That fight was close. Canelo didn't blow him out the way he blew out Smith, and his face is still intact. I don't know how you had. I had no idea how you had Plant winning. He was getting body shot challenged the whole fight. Not the whole fight. Them first couple rounds. Caleb Plant was bossing the fight. Canelo didn't really start to pour on the body attack until like, what was it, like the fifth round, sixth round, maybe something like that. It was a close fight. Even when I watched it live and I had Canelo up, I still had Plant winning four of the 10 completed rounds. But Mauro Ranallo, Showtime Boxing, the commentary, they got you guys in a trance every time Canelo even moves. Yeah. Thank you, Julio. Even Canelo said this shell Caleb Plant was giving him problems. I was sitting there, and if I would have turned my head at a 45-degree angle, man, I could have swore I was watching the white James Toney. Do you know that power shots count more than jabs? They do, but Canelo was missing a lot of them. Canelo was, oh my God, man, there was rounds early in the fight, early in some of the middle rounds where Canelo was basically out there shadow boxing. He was out there shadow boxing. Oh my God. That's why Canelo Alvarez was so fucking exhausted after the fight, because he was missing. Anybody who knows anything about boxing knows when you miss punches over and over and over again, that takes something out of you, okay? Canelo was missing over and over and over and over again. And he even got counterpunched quite a few times in the fight. So he had to show the extra bit of quality to stop Caleb Plant. And to his credit, he did. So he gets credit for that. But Billy Joe really didn't have to make him show the extra bit of quality. Neither did Callum Smith. Let's go, champ. What you eat, I eat. Where you go, I go. Briggs chasing Klitschko is the funniest shit. It's still funny. It's so hilarious. I still go back and I watch it from time to time. It's the best. Canelo fans are so annoying. They can't give anybody other than Canelo modicum of credit. No, they can't. They can't. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying Canelo Alvarez is a great fighter, but Caleb Plant was boxing very well against him in spots of that fight, in a lot of rounds of that fight. There's nothing wrong with that, because ultimately Canelo showed his quality and the better man won on the night. And listen, I was going for Caleb Plant. I picked him, but I gave him Canelo his credit. He did his damn thing. He showed his experience. He showed why he's where he's at, and he showed his level. He showed that his level on the night was just a bit better than Plant's, and there's no shame in that. And we can admit that here on True School Sports. This is the home of boxing. I'm a boxing fan. I'm not a Plant fan. I'm not a Canelo fan. I'm a fan of boxing. So Plant was giving trouble because he was getting tired, and Plant was being resistant, but Plant was not landing many shots himself. Go back and watch the fight. You didn't watch the fight again, because I thought the same thing. When I watched the fight the first time, I thought the same thing. Go watch that shit again. Yeah, Plant ended up ultimately getting stopped, but before that, he wasn't getting any credit for it. None. I mean, Jesus, there'd be some times where, like, Canelo throw a 4-punch combination, Plant slipping, rolling, blocking the punches, countering him back, and Mauro Ranallo don't say anything about it. The Showtime commentating don't say anything about it. But then as soon as Canelo just grazed the gloves of Caleb Plant, oh my God, you thought they were going to have an orgasm. I mean, it was horrible. If you're a boxing fan, you should adore Canelo. Absolutely not. You can respect Canelo, but if you're truly a boxing fan, you recognize him for the fantastic fighter he is, but you look at that shit in context and you say, you know what? This man is smoking mirrors. Plant was being slick, but he wasn't outlanding Canelo. Even if Canelo was tired, he was still winning the round based on work. There were rounds where he did. Come on, man. Come on, flow kicks. Let's not do that. BT, watch the Plant fight one more time. Use my Showtime account in Super HD. No excuses. I watched it once in Super HD. I watched it in Super HD a second time. You need to watch it in Super HD. Flow Kicks needs to watch it in Super HD, because I saw it perfectly the second time I watched it. The first time I saw it, both times I saw it, I saw Canelo methodically break down Caleb Plant, and I saw a good veteran experienced performance with Canelo Alvarez. But the second time I watched it, I was like, man, Caleb Plant didn't get enough credit for his boxing in the fight, and that's a shame. That's truthfully a shame that people can't give credit. I mean, think about how horrible you guys are. I can't stand Canelo. I think he's horrible for the sport, and I think the earlier he retires, the better. But I gave him his credit when he won the damn fight. All right, y'all can't even give Caleb Plant credit for just boxing well. People are sick. People are sick. But it is what it is, man. There's more to boxing than just Cinnamon Boy, you know. Listen, man. The real fight is gonna be December the 31st. Kazuto Ioka, Joe Ancajas. That's the fight we need to be talking about. Fuck the other fights. We need to be talking about Kazuto Ioka and Joe Ancajas in the unification fight in one of boxing's best weight classes, if not boxing's best weight class. Because man, Kazuto Ioka, escribiendo la historia. You know, he's made history. All right, the only 4-division champion in the history of Japan. Okay, the guy got the most, as Hiro will point out. Hiro will point out, you know, he got the most swag of anybody at 115. You know, he got he's in these big old trucks with a digital dashboard. He's a hell of a fighter, and I don't think people give him the credit he deserves. He beat, in my opinion, he's done something in his career that it took Canelo 56 fights to do. He knocked out a pound for pound caliber fighter, and that was Kosai Tanaka. I mean, that was a big fight. I mean, Jesus. Made him do cartwheels, and people just don't even talk about that enough. I'm not as harsh on Canelo, but his fans are toxic as fuck. Caleb was a world champion for a reason. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe I would be less harsh on Canelo if his fans weren't so fucking stupid and bad for boxing. But they want to sit there, they want to flap their gums, they want to, like, it's ridiculous. Like, you know how many look, let's go to screen share right quick. We're gonna go to screen share. I want to show y'all something, because people are quick to say that such and such is a bum, this fight is a bum, that fight is a bum, right? So look, let's go to Caleb Plant, right? He was IBF super middleweight champion. Now, irrespective of what you guys think about who he won the belt against, okay, he became a world champion. Now, do y'all know how many active boxers around the world are in the super middleweight division? If you don't know, the answer is 1,214. So that means there's 1,214 other men who box for a living, who get punched in the face for a living, all vying for one of those 4 world titles. And you mean to tell me a guy that was one of those 4 people out of 1,214 men? Now, I don't know if y'all caught it the first time, so let me show you again, because I know sometimes people are slow. I know sometimes people have selective vision. So let's go back up again. Let's go back to Caleb Plant again. All right. By the way, smash that like button and super chat. This is BoxRec. This is a website. If you don't know what BoxRec is the official record keeper of all things boxing. Results, heights, reach, dates, all that stuff. Okay. And one thing I like about BoxRec is they tell you where a fighter is ranked in the weight class and how many fighters are in the weight class. So as you can see, as per BoxRec, Caleb Plant at this juncture in time is the 6th ranked super middleweight fighter in the world. Okay. Out of 1,214 people. Okay. And y'all have the audacity to flap your gums and say that this man is a bum. I'm done. I'm done. Like, you can say he's overrated. You can say he's a nobody. You can say that you don't think he's as good as advertised. That's perfectly fine. You could even say he's the biggest champion, but just make sure you respect him as champion. You know, like I'm not gonna sit here and say David Benavidez is garbage ever, because why? He's one of the elites at 168. He's one of the few out of that 1,000 plus that are vying for supremacy in the division. You know, any fighter that wins a world title, I know with all the belts in boxing now, it's kind of devalued what it means to be a world champion. But even with the devaluation of what it means to be a world champion, it's still an accomplishment. It's still something to be proud of. It's still something to look at and say, you know what? I became a world champion because there's literally over 1,000 people in your weight class trying to knock your fucking block off. And to be one of those 3 or 4, you know, says a lot about you. I wouldn't say he knocked out a pound-for-pound fighter, but he showed there are levels to this game. No, he knocked out Kosai Tanaka at the time he fought Ioka. Maybe not on Ring Magazine, but on my pound-for-pound list, I had Tanaka a clear-cut lower top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. The guy was because he actually made history. A lot of people want to talk the history shit when it comes to Canelo and other fighters, but they don't keep that same energy when it comes to Tanaka. Man, Tanaka was the fastest fighter in the history of Japan to win a world title. everybody's fought in his career had a winning record. They had more wins than losses, and you can't say that for every fighter. He tied Lomachenko's record for the quickest fighter to become 3-division champion in boxing. Yeah, so he did unprecedented things, and he beat some good fighters. But come on, man, like come on, like Ioka, he did his damn thing, and you may not agree with the Hiro, but I think Tanaka he could have been the 10th best fighter in the world at that point. I had him like 10 or 9. Fuck the bullshit. Fulton Figueroa is a great fight, a unification fight. It is a great fight. You know, it is a great fight. You got Brandon Figueroa. You got Brandon Figueroa, the Heartbreak Kid. He got the best strength and conditioning coach in boxing. You know, shout out to the lovely Omira Figueroa. Bro, good fight. Fulton, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of salty about Fulton. He beat my boy Angelo Leo. I'm still kind of, it's been 10 months. I'm still salty about it because, you know, me and Angelo, that's my guy, man. I was heartbroken in that fight, but hey, he showed his quality. He showed that he's one of the best guys out there. He's beaten like 7 undefeated fighters now: Adam Lopez, Angelo Leo, Joshua Greer, Arnold Kagai, and now he's looking to really cement his place as that guy at 122. And I'm gonna say it like this: you can make the argument that right now Fulton could be at the 10th best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, but man, if he beat Figueroa, it's not even debatable. He's a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. No doubt about it, because of all the guys he's beat, the undefeated guys he's beating a guy like Angelo Leo the way he did. Man, yeah, like Fulton, I think he's going to beat Figueroa. I think he will prove to be too much Figueroa. I think he's already seen what Figueroa can bring to the table. I don't think Figueroa's going to bring anything different to the fight other than size and maybe a little more stamina, but if Fulton come in shape and he switched on, he should be Figueroa. No doubt about it. It's still way harder to earn those belts. Congrats on Fight Hype. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, man. Got on Fight Hype today. Your boy BT making the big times, man, on Fight Hype. I told people on Fight Hype to subscribe to True School Sports. Hopefully I got like 1 or 2 subscribers off that. But yeah. This bum and that bum. If you're top 10, you are 0.5% of all boxers. You are elite. No, absolutely. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. It's not even just for the champions. If you're a guy who's top 10, if like take a guy like George Kambosos, right? People say George Kambosos is nobody. He sucks. This, that, the third. He got 2 split decisions against Lee Selby and Mickey Bay. Well, guess what? How about you start putting some more respect on Mickey Bay and Lee Selby? Because Lee Selby, I believe, was former world champion at 130, I think. You know, Mickey Bay, he was top 10. He challenged for the world title. Just being in that position takes a lot. So look, I know I have my opinions on certain fighters, and it may sound like I don't respect a guy like Callum Smith, but Callum Smith's a good fighter. GB represented the GB team. You know, beat George Groves, was world champion, won the World Boxing Super Series. He's an elite fighter. He's just at the elite level of boxing. You got to interpret the elite level of boxing. And this is why y'all should watch more boxing, because if you guys watch lower levels of boxing, you'll know what bums look like. Not bums, but you know what like lesser caliber fighters look like. Like he's a overrated fighter on the elite level, but like you put Callum Smith in there with Atlantic Castillo, and you saw what happened to Atlantic Castillo. He freaking had a seizure on the ground. So just understand the levels and respect the fighters. Tanaka would vacate his titles and would vacate his titles and would fight vacant titles. He ducked people. I heard he is going to 118. He is going to 118. But that doesn't matter, because whether you like it or not, he still made history. He was the fastest fighter in the history of Japan, the whole history of the country. Think about that. There's not many countries in the history of boxing that have more history than Japan. And he's the fastest fighter to win the world title from that country. So no small accomplishment. You can definitely say he ducked Junto Nakatani and guys like that, and you'd be well within your rights to say that. But don't you go disrespecting Kosai Tanaka. Yeah, I'm glad I let this father too. Hopefully he can go get that 4th world title at 118. When people talk about bums, they are talking about relative to the top 10 and the top 5 in the division, not worldwide. Well, okay, but I'm a big picture guy, and I really feel like, you know what? You should really have a bigger picture as well. Don't come here and disrespect these fighters that have fought blood, sweat, and tears just to get to that position. If you want to say they're overrated, fine. If you want to say that they're not as good as someone like a Chocolatito or a Canelo or a Usyk or a Joshua or a Crawford, that's fine too. But don't disrespect the fighters, man. These fighters go through a lot, and that's the one beautiful thing that I've got this year is like I've spent a lot of time around fighters behind the scenes. I got friends that I've spent entire training camps with, and when you see what they go through, you don't disrespect the fighters, like a lot of people do here on YouTube. I was watching the AIBA tournament and realized how great USA really is, and maybe not this year's AIBA class. Well, we did really good this year. I know. Shout out to my boy Raheem Gonzalez. He won the gold medal. He won the gold medal. Who else you had? Name me the names. You had that dude Roscoe Hill. I think he won the gold as well. We had people do really good in the AIBAs. What's up, bro? What's good, champ? Ali 313 with Detroit. What's up? You have to be a hardcore if you follow the lower weight classes. I have no clue who Tanaka is. Oh, Tanaka is amazing, man. You should go check him out. One of the best fighters in the sport, in my opinion. It's the NFL. It's the NFL. The guys on the bench are garbage, but they are like some of the best in the world. If you get textual, no, but they don't get like people know. Like, okay, if you watch basketball, right? Anybody who watched basketball, everybody knew Brian Scalabrine was garbage compared to Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen, but he was in the NBA. And even I feel like a guy like Brian Scalabrine in basketball gets more respect from basketball fans than guys who are ranked number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 in the top 10 do from boxing fans. So you're right with what you're saying, but all I'm saying is respect more of these guys that are ranked. That's all I'm saying. Like George Cambosos deserve respect. You can say that, but Canelo history unifying all the belts at 168. It's the same thing. They were managed quickly. I know you don't want to give credit to Canelo. I don't give credit to Tanaka. Well, yeah, I don't want to give credit to Canelo, but there's a thing called humility and being humble. If he does something that forces you to give him credit and is worthy of credit, you give it to him. And I feel like Tanaka's done things in his career that people should give him credit for. Hell yeah, Ali. Hell yeah. Ioka versus Kaz is the fight of the year. Fuck all these other. Forget Golovkin versus Murata. Forget Tank versus Cruz. Forget Lopez versus Kambosos. Forget Haney versus JoJo or any of these fights. That's the fight right there, man. Kazuda Ioka's out here in the last chapter of his career, boxing masterpieces every freaking fight. Really doing his best boxing towards the end of his career. Then you got in Cajas, right? He was Manny Pacquiao's first world champion for Manny Pacquiao Promotions when he beat McJoe Arroyo for the vacant title. And then he hasn't been able to get those big fights. And people have questioned how good on Cajas is, even though he's defended the belt, I think it's like 8 times now. So now he gets his chance to prove it against another elite guy, and I'm happy. Canelo is humble, man. I don't understand why the best always fall prey to narratives. He's humble? Hell nah. Maybe in some ways he's humble, but nah. Hell nah. The way he treats Demetrius Andrade, that's not a humble man. That's not a humble man. That's a guy that thinks he's better than the competitive integrity of the sport, and he thinks he's better. He thinks that he looks at Demetrius Andrade as less of a person. No way. He's many things. Canelo's talented. He's elite. He's creme de la creme. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a good counter puncher. He's a lot of things. He's funny at times. I think he's an intelligent businessman, but he is not humble. Hell no. Maybe he was at a point, but if we're talking about present day Canelo, that they consider, if you talk about present day Canelo, that's pound for pound, arguably to most people, that guy's not humble. I was very disappointed last year with him too. Won SSS. Tanaka let me down big time in the Ioka fight. Ioka had that man doing cartwheels, and I still get sad about it every time I think. Lance Meyer, what's good, champ? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Thank you for stopping by. Ali 313. Canelo changed after the Cotto fight. Yeah. Waiting for the Canelo interview. Oh man, could y'all picture that? Picture that one right there. Picture me interviewing Canelo. That would be something. It'd probably be about a 1 minute interview because I only have one question. There's only one question I want to ask him, and why are you ducking Demetrius Andrade? Yeah, but Boo Boo has been calling Canelo a bitch and a pussy for a long time. Why would Canelo give him respect? Why? Because because everyone says Canelo is this great fighter, and all Boo Boo ever wanted to do was prove his skills against the guy they say is the best fighter in the world. And when he asked for the opportunity, they told him no. And then he fought James Kirkland. So they weren't listening to Boo Boo. They weren't listening to Boo Boo, and they didn't care about Boo Boo when he was humble and when he called out for fights respectfully. So he had to get disrespectful. Oh no, Boo Boo said mean words. Man, this is fucking boxing, man. This ain't tennis. This ain't tennis where you lose a championship in tennis and then, Novak Djokovic beats Roger Federer. Then Roger Federer has to go up there and talk about how good Novak Djokovic was, and Djokovic has to blow Roger. No, this ain't tennis. This is boxing, man. This is a dog eat dog. This is a sport of killers. So guess what? If you're a guy who everyone parades around and you parade yourself around and you praise yourself as the best fighter in the world, and there's another world champion who's undefeated who thinks he can beat you, man, if I was Canelo, like if I was in Canelo's shoes, and if I was a guy of his stature, and I had this guy that is boring, that everybody says I can beat, who's undefeated, and he got a belt, I like beating undefeated champions, why not beat another one? It should be easy. Y'all on the double standard. So Canelo needs to be humble, but not Andrade. No, I never said Andrade had to be humble. I only rebutted your initial statement of Canelo being humble. I never said Andrade had to be humble. Truthfully, Andrade shouldn't have to be humble at all because none of these guys can beat him. Canelo can't beat him. Charlo can't beat him. Benavidez sure shit can't beat him. Munguia can't beat him. Johnny Beck Alam Coley can't beat him. None of these guys can beat him. So if I was Andrade, I wouldn't be humble. But you know what? That's what makes him. That's why I respect him. He's got all them skills and he's still humble. Boo Boo was disrespectful, interrupting the Charlos and Canelo's conference. He needs to go and fight Dusty Harrison. Well, he wants to fight them, and they don't want to make the fights happen. So this is the way it's always been done. Lara did it. Lara did it, and nobody said he was disrespectful. Mr. T did that shit in Rocky. Plenty of fighters have over the course of history have interrupted fighters' press conferences, asking for title shots. Keith Thurman. I mean, how are our memories that short? Keith one-time Thurman, when he was a contender, when he was a young hungry contender, he went to Paulie Malignaggi's press conference and he said, "You better not duck me, son. You better not duck me." But nobody said Keith Thurman was asking for a payday. Only Paulie did, but the media didn't ostracize Thurman for that. Only Paulie Malignaggi did because he was the champion. That was his position. He played it. Keith Thurman was the young hungry contender. That was position. He played it. But we didn't get the media joining in saying, "Oh yeah, well no, he doesn't do this. He didn't do that." No, shut the fuck up. Make the fights happen. Make the fights happen. I wish Canelo had the Roy Jones mentality. We all do, but you can't make him like that. Have you seen Lubin has been complaining that he wants to be fighting 4 times a year? Estimates, they need to let my dog eat. He's a monster. Yeah. Eric Lubin trains very hard. Eric Lubin's a good fighter. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but yeah, it's how boxing's all. Listen, the boxing business is all fucked up, guys. It's extremely fucked up. Yo, True, is Thurman fighting Abel Ramos? I have not heard anything about that, but maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Maybe you heard something I don't. I haven't checked the news today. Vaughn has knocked down Boo Boo. I'm praying somebody can beat him. They can't beat him. Punk ass Canelo definitely can't beat him. Punk ass Charlo can't beat him. Punk ass Benavidez can't beat him. None of these guys that you guys say are these great fighters around this weight can beat him. And if you think otherwise, and they think otherwise, please shut me up and make the fight and beat him. And we'll be right here and we'll give credit. I'm a humble man. All right. I don't have the energy or the hatred in my heart to discredit another man and hold on to a grudge. I got too many good things in my life to hate anybody. He creates his terms. Right. Maybe the cream of the crop don't really respect that. Who knows? Who knows, man? Yeah, Andre got to pull a Shannon Briggs. He got to be a serial stalker, Hey, Sean Zattel, my main man, 50 grand. Listen, obviously I'm very confident in myself, so I always look at myself as the best, like, I guess, boxing reporter / channel. I had to believe in myself, otherwise nobody will. But aside from that, all that aside, the best in the business, no doubt about it, creme de la creme, the best is my man Sean Tell. Now, honestly, I'm very honored to call Sean my friend. If you guys have been enjoying the content today that I got at the Tank Davis Media Workout, you had to thank Sean, because I didn't even know what was going on. He called me up. We went together. So this also is a big credit to Sean. Thank you to him. And yeah, make sure you guys check him out on Fight Hype. Check him out on the Sean Porter Way podcast. He's been one of the best in the business for years, and people are now just starting to find out what I've been knowing for years. Shout out to Sean. I think all the attention and glory Canelo has earned, he's handled it better than a lot of people. Many people's egos will overinflate. I want to respectfully agree to disagree with you, champ. That's just me. I think the whole listen, with me, the minute Canelo Alvarez steps up to the plate and rectifies the Andrade situation, my whole tune's gonna change. Because feelings aside, remove the feelings. Just the Canelo, the boxer, the skill set. If you ask me, BT, do you enjoy watching Canelo Alvarez fight? Fuck yeah, I do. I love watching him fight. That's why I watch his fights. I like watching him fight. But the attitude and some of the ways people try to shove him down our throats is like, man, like, shut up, like, shut the hell up, okay? When I watched Floyd, and when I watched, like, when you watch certain fighters, nobody had to tell you they were great. They didn't have to tell you that they won all these titles. You just watched the fight and you said, damn, that motherfucker's the truth. But Canelo is like the opposite. They gotta tell you all these things. They gotta tell you all these things about him, because they gotta make him seem better than he actually is. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Andrade is a good fight, but man, admit that way his career has been managed is his fault to a degree. He signed the least respected promoter in America. Eddie Hearn is big in the UK. If you've listened to anything I've said about Andrade, I've been very fair. I've said that Demetrius Andrade, it was his fault early in his career. He made some bad business decisions. But man, like, what kind of world do we live in where should everybody be affected by their past decisions? Like I'm sure people here, I'm sure the 36 of you here, I'm sure everybody at some point in time has made a shitty decision that they wish they could take back, that ruined their life at that present moment. But God gave them grace, and God allowed their lives to still be good despite their mishaps. So why should Andrade be penalized for bad business he did in the past? He signed with Eddie Hearn, right? Yes, you're right. Eddie Hearn was big in the UK, but Eddie Hearn is one of the biggest promoters in boxing. And Eddie Hearn has put together other big fights. So why is he rectified? In my opinion, when he signed with Eddie Hearn, he rectified his mishaps. He signed one of the four biggest promoters in boxing. Sean said, I had to bring Brendan because I knew he got great questions. We'll be saying same with Devin Haney tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we got something for Devin tomorrow. You're damn right. You're damn right. Absolutely. Andre needs to move to 168. He can't be insecure. I want him to beat Canelo. This reminds me of Danny Garcia holding up 140 by not letting go of the belts when he fought. Oh my God. No, this is nothing like, this is absolutely nothing like when Danny Garcia was at 140. Because first of all, in order for him to be like Danny Garcia at 140, he would have actually had to have gotten the big fights. He got big fights at 40. He got to fight Matisse and prove his greatness. He got a chance to fight Amir Khan and prove his greatness. Andrade ain't getting them fights, so you can't compare him to Danny Garcia. Now, Danny Garcia, from a political standpoint, when he had his run at 140, okay, he was signed to Golden Boy. He was with a major power player in boxing. All right. So he was able to get those fights and secure those fights to prove his worth, and he did. Andrade is not in that same position. Okay. And he hasn't been able to get those fights. So I don't know where you get off saying that. And then plus, I'm just gonna disagree. Like, in no way, like, never compare Demetrius Andrade to Danny Garcia. Demetrius Andrade is a way better fighter than Danny Garcia. Stop it. I know Danny's got better wins and whatnot, but like, stop it, please. Oh my God, bro. Boxing fans are frustrating. Like, I mean, he could go. Listen, Demetrius Andrade could go 44-0, and you guys would still find a problem. I mean, but I shouldn't expect anything different. People Floyd Mayweather, right? He's 50-0, and he's one of the best fighters of all time, and people still find things wrong with him. And there's criticisms I have of his resume, but at the end of it all, I still recognize that motherfucker was a world class A level creme de la creme fighter. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the more that Canelo Alvarez is hailed as the face of boxing, the more I appreciate Floyd, because man, Floyd just knew how to pull on the heartstrings of people. Whether you loved Floyd or you hated Floyd, you watched Floyd. So, it is what it is. You mentioned the Cholatito Estrada fight. Now, I don't know if you were at that fight, but if you knew anything about that fight, Untouchable, and you ain't the untouchable, I'm the untouchable. So have some respect when you're in my house. Wipe your feet on the mat before you come talk to the real untouchable. If you knew anything about the Cholatito Estrada fight, you would know that the whole arena was sectioned out because of COVID. Because the American Airlines Center where they fought is ran by the Dallas Mavericks, whose owner is Mark Cuban, who believes in strict COVID protocols and policies. So you played yourself. Eddie Hearn may not be big in America. You're right. But Eddie Hearn is big within boxing. And Eddie Hearn has shown in the past that he's not afraid to make these fights happen. And if these guys don't want to fight him, that's down to whoever runs their career or those fighters themselves. So it is what it is. Benavidez ain't going to beat Andrade. Canelo ain't going to beat Andrade. Charlo's not going to beat Andrade. Beterbiev, Bivol, Johnny Alamcoli, Felix Cash, Murata, Golovkin. None of these guys are beating Andrade, so it don't really mean anything. Y'all can talk all you want. Y'all will say everything about Andrade other than, hey, he will lose. These fighters will say everything about Andrade other than I'll fight you or that I can beat you. So he's vacating his belt. He's hurting his career. He won't get big fights. Oh, okay. So you think he should vacate his belt, which is the only leverage he has to get fights, right? So that he could possibly get a fight. I mean, so you don't think these guys will you don't think these guys would wait a whole year and then just vacate when it gets forced? I mean, come on, man. He can barely get fights as champion. He's a champion calling out contenders, but you want him to get rid of the only piece of bargaining power he has at any negotiating table because you think that your favorite fighter has had the balls to fight him. Listen, if Canelo Alvarez didn't have the balls to fight him at 154 or 160, he's not going to have it at 68. And Benavidez, right? I know a lot of people love Benavidez. I like Benavidez. He's a good fighter. But listen, let's be real. Caleb Plant called for that fight last year. He called for it last year. When it came up, Samson Lukowicz said, no, we need more time. We're not going to make the fight happen. And then Benavidez ran to the media and started calling Caleb Plant a pussy, and they ended up putting him in the hospital. So forget Andrade. They won't even put Benavidez in there with Plant. Like, come on, man. Stop the foolishness. Benavidez will fight Charlo. You think he won't fight Boo Boo? Absolutely not. Charlo's basic as hell. Charlo was basic as hell. And everyone sees right through Charlo. Everyone knows Charlo's a classic bully. The minute he steps up and fights a real killer, he's going to lose. Plant did put up a great fight. He did. And I don't know what's so hard about saying that. But look, man. I've enjoyed the live, guys. I've got other things I gotta take care of. So I'm gonna cut the live short right now. But man, I want to say this. Thank you guys for making this a fun live, a fun 2 hours. I'm going to the Devin Haney workout tomorrow with my main man, 50 grand. Beside myself, the other pound for pound king of boxing media, Sean Zattel, right? I'll be with him at the Devin Haney media workout tomorrow. So if you're gonna, please just look out for that. Check out all the Tank content. I'm going to get to these last two comments because I got to put you on your place. He says, how much is Andrade paying you for real? I don't get paid a fucking dime from Andrade. Truthfully, I don't even know Andrade like that. I had one minor interaction with him. I've never really had a proper interview with Andrade the way I wanted to be honest. I've interviewed his dad a couple times, but never Boo-Boo himself. Okay? Nobody's paying me anything. Listen, when you come to this channel, and you speak to me, you're not speaking to IFL, you're not speaking to Behind the Gloves, you're not speaking to these other channels that are paid public relations firms for these fighters. This is the untouchable true school sports empire. This is the home of boxing. Nobody can say or pay me to do anything. Whatever I say and whatever I mean it from the very bottom of my heart and the core of my bones, and nobody's paying me to say it. So to answer your question, nothing. I just think he's really, I think, and I have good reason to believe that he's one of the top fighters out there. And I think just like all the other great fighters, he should get his chance to prove it against other big names in the division. Is that too much to ask for? Is it too much to ask Charlo and all these guys to step up to the plate and prove that they are who they say they are? I don't think it is. But apparently, you guys aren't boxing fans. You guys like to dick ride and pom-pom wait for fighters that fit your narratives and whatever. So it is what it is, man. These guys can't run a high forever. The walls are getting shorter and shorter every fight. There's too many bodies at 160, 168, and other weight classes. He'll get his fight eventually, and when he does, you guys will see. Do you think Canelo moved up for Andrade and Benavidez to finally fight? I don't know about that in particular, but I can say I think he moved up because he's trying to get these guys to fight each other so that they'll, like, for example, if let's just say, right, if Charlo fights Boo Boo, right, and let's say Benavidez fought like a Bivol or a Beterbiev, hypothetically, right? Or let's say, better yet, if Benavidez fights Charlo and Boo Boo fights GGG, right, and both those fights happen, then that means that's two less people he has to worry about, because once one of those guys loses, Canelo now has the excuse that I'm not going to fight them because they're coming off of a loss. I want to fight champions, and those guys will no longer be champions. So it's just, I give him credit. He's smart. I can't hate on Canelo. He's smart. He knows how to move. He's got a great team around him. All credit to him. Get your money. God bless him. Take care of your family. I'm all for fighters getting their money and positioning themselves, but I'm also about fighters being what they claim to be. And he's good. He's one of the top fighters out there, but we just want to see him fight Demetrius Andrade. That's it, man. That's it. But listen, on that note, I'm gonna get out of here, you guys. Thank you guys for making this a very fun 2 hours for me. I don't know if I'll be live tomorrow, but if I'm not live tomorrow, expect a live on Thursday. And yeah, with that being said, check out all the content with Tank Davis, the one that's already out and the ones to come. Check out the Devin Haney content when it comes out tomorrow. And yeah, keep supporting myself, keep supporting True School Sports, because when you support me, you support the real boxing, you support a channel that's really here for this sport, for good, bad, or indifferent. You may disagree with me, you may agree with me, but we all have fun here. We all talk boxing, and I appreciate every last one of you guys. So with that being said, you guys take care of yourself. God bless. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.